Hi,
Everybody else
everyone.
look at their phone.
Right.
Hey,
It
everybody.
happens.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of D&D. We're super glad you're here. Sorry if I'm eating, and I apologize to those of you with misophonia.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother
He
me
uses that word. I'm gonna follow right away.
I mean, like in person, you know. Oh, you're not talking about me. Okay, never mind.
There was a radio show that took that and made it into like a ringtone or something, and it was like it was from one of the songs, like the miso horny song or whatever.
Oh no.
But it was misophonia, and so it was like, misophonia, misophonia. It was really funny.
Hey, we got a follower. We're being hosted by Shadow Wolf.
Hey, thank you, Shadow Wolf, for the host.
Thank you, Shadow Wolf.
We really appreciate that. Ballin'. Anyways.
And he left.
He said, I missed you guys last week, sadly.
Oh, no. It's okay. You can catch it. We're going to end up putting that video on YouTube at some point in our lives. So you'll be able to catch it on YouTube. By the way, I'm not getting paid to say this, but I just finished downloading my free copy of Battlefront 2.
I knew this was coming.
From Epic Games.
Gotta sell the Epic Games.
Because if you have Epic Games,
yeah,
you can also download a free copy of Battlefront 2. Now, mind you, one caveat: it's through Origins. So when you download it, it will immediately initiate the Origins installer, and then you have to create an Origins account. And then once you get into the Origins account, it downloads from there. So you log into Epic Games, you launch the game, it launches Origins, which is the other game, another game manager. You open up Origins, log into Origins, and then launch the game. So basically, you have to get a lion to jump through a flaming hoop in order to play. However, you get out the correct tools, and it's not a problem. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to try it out now.
Sure, we can do that.
Also, we've started playing Deep Rock Galactic. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's super fun. It's pretty intense, actually. We're like running this pipeline through. Oh my god, dude, that was crazy. And it's like, oh, we're about to die. Pump has failed. Oh. It was pretty intense. So go watch that video too. It should still be on our Twitch stream. But I think you were recording it. Were you gonna YouTube that guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna put him on YouTube. I'm thinking about probably doing like little compilations of our Phasmophobia streams and
yeah, I like that.
Galactic. I definitely want to get a steady schedule on those as well. Yeah,
we really should. We should pick like 1 or 2 nights at least a week that we play one or the other and do it regularly. I have such a love-hate relationship for Phasmophobia. Like
I want to do that. I want to do that compilation. That is going to take forever, but it's going to be so worth it.
I hate this game so much. 89 was it? 89 kills, I think.
89
in the first John Wick, right? So I'm pretty sure that I'm up there. And if you totaled all of our streams together, like I'm probably at 89.
I'm thinking 30s. I'm thinking 30s, maybe 40s.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably closer. And then you have people, not gonna say the person's name.
You're talking
but it's the person who plays Kane, who will do things like shut the door while you're running to the exit. When you're already terrified, right?
Who would do that?
And then I crap my pants. And then I get angry because I crapped my pants.
Now, is the crapping the pants a mechanic in the game?
It should be.
Or
It
is this
should be.
an augmented reality?
I was going to say,
An AR effect?
If it is in the game, it's definitely 4D because
Smell-o-vision.
The smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision. Yeah. The game scares me so much. Anyways, we're here to play D&D.
You know, as I took my first sip of coffee, my brain kicked in, and I thought, you know what, it'd be kind of nice if, like, at the beginning of every session, everybody went around and said, "Hey, so how you doing? What you been doing new in gaming, tabletop, whatever." I'm like, you know what, that would be kind of cool. You know, give
How do you guys
everybody a
feel
chance
about
to
that?
see your personality.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Fine with it.
Cool. Do you want to do it right now? I mean, we're already starting late, so
Yeah, maybe next time.
okay, that's cool with me.
Or on break, or either way.
Oh yeah, we can do it on break. That's cool. Alrighty. Well, let's get started. I haven't eaten anything. This is gonna hit me so hard. Okay, cool.
It's like this is half a bottle of Jack Daniels in this shit.
Right?
Like this is everything is now audible. Like all rules or whatever I feel like in this fucking moment, bastards.
So last time, if you guys remember when we were playing last week, I'm just kidding.
It's
So
going to
last
turn
time,
into an episode of Drunks and Dragons. That's what's going to happen.
Didn't they get shut down? Anyways, we don't have to talk about that right now. Anyway, so last time that you guys had joined us or whatever, our party had dispatched of some manipulators that were involved in this little kingdom that's in the north portion of Faerun towards the base of the mountains, the northern mountains or whatever. Having arrived there with the primary intent of potentially facing off with and dispatching of a blue dragon that they have learned is at least an adult dragon, and through various streams of information have also learned that wealth has been funneled out of the city and continues to be funneled out of the city at a certain rate, and that the villagers north of the city, both cardinally and in altitude, have all been subjugated to the dragon. So you guys have had orders sent to you, and I knew there was something I was forgetting to do this week. So you guys probably don't have those contracts typed into your messages because I got home between 7:30 and 8 o'clock probably almost every night this week at work or from work. So
what's that message that got me earlier this week? What does it say? Oh, you're a piece of shit. Stay away from my wife. Gotcha. All right, I got you. Fine, spirit. Yeah, all right.
I thought about playing on that, but I don't even know where to go with that, so I'm not going to.
That wasn't you? That's the other David. Okay.
How many wives are you messing with there?
You know,
are you messing with wives?
Works? Huh?
The way my bank account works.
You know, from where I am from, we don't deal with problem. Okay, so no, I'm just kidding.
In Mother Russia, where we deal with problem is by shooting you in the head with AK-47. That's all.
Right. Okay. So you guys have all received individual contracts or whatever that are essentially an update to or an addition to the original contract that you were given. There was one particular man that had come in that all of you recognized, Eldemar, him. Eldamar Him, who is a diplomatic representative from your guild. He has come in to essentially negotiate with the king. So as he and the king retire back into, or not retire, but essentially recede back into one of the back rooms for private meeting and discussion, as is customary from the guild, you guys have all been given your individual contracts. So I'm going to go ahead and send you real quick what the basis of each of your contracts are going to be, and then I will elaborate some as we go throughout the session this evening.
Additional question: did I get an answer to? I should have gotten an answer, but what is the answer that I got from my? My
Right.
spirit walk?
I will send it to you.
Okay.
Also, I'll send that to you also.
Okie dokie.
I have a question as well.
Sure.
Apora has grown up with a guild. Has he ever known of like a team of maybe 5 to take down an ancient dragon?
So, just the facing off with the ancient dragon is something that is rare. So that's not that in and of itself is almost unheard of. But
Do you mean an adult dragon?
Well, I'm talking about an ancient
No,
dragon.
I'm talking about Apora. Like, do you mean adult dragon or do you actually mean an ancient?
Yeah, ancient for now.
Ancient.
What were you smoking again, Napora? Just
maybe.
making sure.
Bro.
I'm
I'm just curious.
You were ready to have the door earlier. I'm just making sure that we're
It
all
was
on
to
the
the
same page.
village. I
Okay,
can't
village
explain
where the
that
dragon
hard
is.
enough.
Village near the dragon, closer to the dragon.
No, well, maybe.
Yes, yes. Making sure I understand.
Yeah, so fighting an ancient dragon is something that's almost unheard of, and any tales that have involved fighting an ancient dragon are nearly mythological, right? Tales of heroes of grandeur that faced off, and generally there was severe decimation in the process. There are a couple of those tales that you've heard that are, most of the tales don't explicitly say there was victory in the battle, but it's generally assumed. So that's all that you've heard as far as like facing off with an ancient dragon is concerned. Guys, if you can give me just a moment while he's going to bed, I'll be right back. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
Talking about the Russian thing is Shadow Wolf says we deal with our problems like our vodka with a single shot.
Sure.
So they say it's definitely an adult dragon and possibly an ancient dragon.
It seemed like he was leaning more towards it definitely being an ancient dragon.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that until proven otherwise.
That's what my spirit walker question will provide.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
If you look in it should still be in chat. The exact details of spirit walker, which I've never heard of anybody using. No path of the totem warrior I've ever heard actually use it. So
it's almost like conveying to, like a cleric conveying to his god or whatever. That's cool.
To just say you are fucked.
So let's not go that way.
like I already have my opinions.
Yeah.
And Kilgore has his thoughts, which aren't quite that far off from my opinions. Because he's not stupid, right?
Just jump in the dragon's mouth and like kill it from the inside.
Yeah, it works all the
that-
time.
That would probably be a better outcome than trying to do it from the outside.
Yeah, probably. If we no, all we do is just throw a mountain on it. If we can just find a way to just teleport a mountain, like half of a mountain, on top of it. At least it goes prone, and we just stab it.
It seems like this might be something we have to do diplomatically.
Yeah,
How you use diplomacy with the ancient dragon? Is that something you heard of?
Well, so here's the thing: the unknown in here is how powerful that airship is, right?
Sure.
And that's why, because I
Technically,
think
we do know.
technically we should know,
Yeah.
right?
It's
but
the
that's what I
metagame
just-
hour.
Well, and that's the thing. I wanted to remove all metagaming possibilities out of it,
Yeah.
which is why I just asked the Spirit Walker, how powerful is the dragon, and can we what's the chances of us defeating it? I think they're like non-existent.
You guys just drop out for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a second.
Okay.
Shadow Wolf just made another comment. Kane can just fry it with his lightning trickery.
Sure.
It's a blue dragon though.
It is a blue
Well,
dragon, so it's
I can
resistant to
transmute
it.
all my spells to be any other damage that I want.
Oh, okay.
I think he only gets the max on lightning and thunder, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that they have resistance to thunder, but I could be wrong. Of course, I'm not going to metagame either, but I specifically did not look up adult blue dragon, so that way I didn't do that.
Well,
So
and
we're going to find out.
that was addressed in our original contract. I thought we would have information on like blue dragon and
Resistance to
what to
thunder?
expect and all that good stuff. Should have been provided in the
Oh.
contract. I thought that was a question that I asked earlier on. Am I wrong,
You're
DM?
muted. You're muted.
Yeah, David's the
I tried
DM.
I tried to stop you.
Thanks. Yeah, so there's general information given. General information, of course, being a part of the guild or whatever, information that you would have attained already would be information about, like as soon as you find out that it's a blue dragon, right, what kind of powers it's going to have, an idea of how it's going to be able to fight, what you're up against, whatever, things like that, right? And the reason that you know that is a combination of basic information that comes directly from the guild as part of the contract, like what Van was saying, but also just being a part of the guild for as long as you have, for as long as each of you have, that information circulates. So one of the things big in the guild is to make sure that if somebody encounters something new, that they circulate the information about that new thing as much as they possibly can. And of course, the guild hall has like a library of informational resource. So you can go into the library or whatever, and generally you most.
Oh no.
Oh, that's weird.
Dropping, I think
Third
it's
time it's
system wide.
Wow.
Yeah,
Got you. Okay.
that's everybody getting hit with that.
Anyway, so like the general information of most, especially most common creatures and some rare creatures are all available in the guild library, right? So anything that anybody's ever encountered before, you can find information on, as well as some basic information on some other things. So that is going to be something that you guys would have some information on. Now, as far as the size is concerned, essentially the way the details of the original contract were laid out were large plus, which is like, the large size or bigger. So.
Yeah, the way it was originally written out, it might be an adult dragon.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Emphasis on might.
Okay.
Okay.
So now that you guys are free, you have a couple of options, right? There is the mine shaft that is available or whatever. Now that is the primary source of income for the city. Outside of any income that was given to the king from the manipulators that had existed that you guys had already dispatched of. And so there's the mine shaft to the village, as well as some general investigation through the city, and if you guys want to go outside of that or check anything in around that, whatever, what is the next step that you guys would like to take?
So this is
after our long rest.
Yeah, is this because at end of long rest, I was going to take over training from
Right. Of Cameo, Vasily.
Vasily from Mapura.
Right.
And I assume we just fast forward through that to save time.
Sure.
And then
that's fine. Unless there's something specific that you wanted to convey or present during that time. Did you
send me a note on the answers to my questions?
Oh yeah. Let me type that out real quick.
Okay. It was. Do you remember what the questions were? Are you
yes.
good? Okay. Cool. I think the
no, there was more than one question.
It was the way I phrased it was let's see. Let me look at what's this. How often can I do Spirit Walker? Because technically, I guess it's 2 questions. Because I asked how powerful is the dragon, and what are our chances of beating it? Is what I asked from the Spirit Walker. I don't in here. Does it say? It doesn't say I can only do it once per day in the spell. So if that would count as 2 questions, I would just cast it twice.
Right.
It's just like whatever I can do to facilitate answering that question that way. Because on multiple notes, I would assume we would know to a certain degree the combat capabilities of our
yes
of our airship.
Right. Absolutely.
The only question is, has that airship, has it ever engaged dragons before? To what power level and to what success rate?
It has engaged dragons before, and so far, from what you guys know, just being a part of the guild or whatever, there's never been a case that the ship itself didn't come back from the engagement.
What does that include? Adult dragons? I assume probably not an ancient.
Right. Nobody in the guild has ever faced an ancient dragon.
Okay.
No one in the guild has ever
faced an ancient.
In this guild specifically, nobody in this guild specifically has ever faced an ancient dragon.
But they sent us here with the possibility. Okay, just making
sure.
There
wasn't. Well, if
it was possibility.
Our writ said there's a possibility it could be an adult dragon. It should not have been an ancient dragon. Is the way I understood the writ to be.
Was it large or large
greater? Plus?
Large plus. So possibility, like I said, they could have been ancient, and they let us come out here So Victor just making a little note. Okay. All right. I'm going to talk to management when I get back.
Oh
Have a
yeah,
little
you
conversation.
can talk to management. Yeah, you have your little conversation. Let's see how that goes for you. Then.
This is not a bureaucracy.
We should definitely get paid pretty good after this, huh?
Do what?
We should definitely get paid good after this, huh?
Yes.
I can't talk till I know the answer to my question.
Oh, I should put a comma in there. That's probably important.
The importance of a comma.
Right, yeah, so we're not eating kids, we're eating, and there are kids
Mm.
involved in the eating. It's the difference between let's eat kids and let's eat kids.
Yeah.
But
you know that's how Publix makes their sandwiches so yummy. They kill babies and chop them up into yummy.
That might actually get us sued. Let's not say that on the on the stream. Jeez.
I've been saying it for years.
Not on the stream.
All right, Shadow Wolf, just redact that from.
It's completely said in satire. Just
someone just make a mark of the time.
If you can't take a joke, if you can't take a joke, please go to Publix. They have a wonderful pharmacy section. You can purchase any sort of butt cream that'll cure that ache you've got now.
He said it's the difference between being safe and being compared to Sweeney Todd.
My wife loves that movie. Kind of concerns me a little bit.
At last, my arm is complete again.
He has a bag of holding, everyone.
right. Almost literally, almost quite literally, he has a bag of holding. Yeah.
What was that? That completely messes up my whole. Look at that.
It does.
It reveals secret doors.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Green screens.
Okay. Wow. That's cool. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're just gonna skip past the training of Vasily. Yes. I did send you your answer though. Skip past the training of Vasily, where so one of the things that you guys do note though is that like during the training of Vasily, like he does seem a bit clumsy. He has had some training before, but he is way under practiced, right? So everything that he does, everything that his form, his technique, everything that you guys see suggests that he's had some kind of fencing before. So one of the things that you notice is he tends or trends towards swift stabs or jabs with his rapier. That seems to be something that he favors. So just throwing that out there. Okay. Anyway, so you guys get your long rest. So recover half of your hit die, full hit points, get your spell slots back, etc., etc. And of course, any of your daily feats and traits and things.
Is there a way in Roll20 just to take a long rest, or is that not a thing?
I was just wondering the same thing. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
think there's just a short rest or long rest button.
I will. I'll look into macros. I'll look into some macros and see if there's a way that we can. I mean, not tonight, obviously, but I mean, not right now. But maybe tonight, but not right now. Okay. So after having, your long rest, after speaking with Vasily, going through the training, whatever, you guys are made breakfast. Breakfast is made in a mediocre attempt done by the king, the captain of the guard, and one of the other guardsmen. The breakfast is made whilst training with Vasily, and it's presented to you. It is not the best thing that you've ever had. It is largely comparable to grits with no salt or sugar. It's like It's okay. It's edible. It's definitely sustenance.
Is there a meat?
So there is meat. There is meat available. The meat is just a little overcooked, a bit chewy. None of the fat or gristle or cartilage or anything has been taken off of it. The bones have been picked out, but for the most part, it is just it's like okay, this will pass. It's passable as a steak or whatever. Go ahead, Kilgore.
Is out of game. Is anybody else seeing a flicker on Kane's camera?
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
am.
mention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it still doing it? It doesn't seem like it is.
It stopped now.
Right. It stopped as soon as you started talking.
Yeah, it just
Oh, there
did
it goes.
it
Yeah.
again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
I'm gonna
great
have to put
party.
on.
So weird.
I'm gonna put on a flashing lights warning.
No.
Technical difficulties. Sorry, everyone. If you have epilepsy, especially, we apologize.
They're
It's too late.
already on the floor at this point.
Just close your eyes. Pretend we're a podcast.
It's the Polygon episode.
The Polygon episode. Okay.
Okay, sorry, DM.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, no. It's definitely. I mean, I noticed it, but I wasn't 100% sure. But
Porygon.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the breakfast that you guys have is mediocre. After the mediocre breakfast, the king then thanks. So one of the things that you guys note too is that Eldemar has not left yet. He is still there. So generally, what happens is when a representative comes in, they're in there for a couple of hours, maybe a few hours, depending on how long negotiations take or whatever. It is a very strenuous, very extensive process in which they cover all of the fine print imaginable. Every nook and cranny of any potential legal detail is covered by the guild representatives. So there are three representatives for the guild, diplomatic representatives, that is. And Eldemar just happened to be the one that showed up in this particular case. He is still there the next day.
Is he sitting down having breakfast with us?
He is, yes. He does sit down and have breakfast with you guys.
Once everybody finishes eating, Kilgore would like to lean back in his chair and go, is the king around, or is he already
Yes.
gone elsewhere?
No, he's there as well, eating breakfast with you guys.
So, King, I understand you assisted in making this breakfast. Is that correct?
And he looks at his rings on his hand, and he looks at you with a kind of a less than confident look on his face, and he's like, yes, it is.
Sign of good man, if you are willing to take whatever job needs to be done and handle it, regardless of your station. This has improved my opinion of you.
And he says, well, thank you. Which, one of the things that you guys have noticed is his countenance has changed quite a bit. Where before he seemed to be a very prissy, very arrogant person, somebody who looked down on everyone, he now is quite a bit more accepting, a little more humble, a little less confident, less cocky. He definitely has more of a people person kind of demeanor about himself. But he says, he's like, why, thank you. I certainly appreciate the compliment. And he kind of looks and almost like tilts his head forward just a little bit, as if like a little tiny bow of acknowledgement there or whatever.
And I kind of nod down in response. Did anybody else have any revelations last night before I speak about what I have learned? And I look around at everybody else in the party.
Well, not that I know of. I don't have any revelations to provide.
Victor Pora.
Nah, bro.
No revelations.
Harik.
Yeah, I shake my head.
Ah, Hark, I didn't see you there.
DM,
What do you
did you want to specify which of the whether it was eagle or bear?
I'm gonna leave that up to her.
I was it eagle?
Huh?
Okay.
What?
I think
I
he's
think
talking
he's
about his
talking about.
totem.
I'm talking about
his
my
spiritual-
totem, where I got the
Oh.
message. Who I got the message from. It
The
would have
spirit
appeared as
walker.
either an eagle or a bear. And I was just going to
Apologies.
clarify. No problem. If it don't matter to you, then I'll just ad-lib it. Just
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Either or.
Okay.
Either or is fine.
Last night before I laid down for rest, I communed with the spirits. And the eagle came to me with its far-seeing eyes and wide knowledge of the world, and told me the dragon we were to face up the mountain, the blue one, is only of adult age, and that our likelihood of success is good.
Well, that is a
wouldn't
very good revelation.
it is much
If that
thought
is
I put
true,
into. If it had been more powerful, it may have not turned out well for us. But I'm confident now.
well, if
Mhm.
that is true, then I have even more confidence in succeeding in this mission. Now, do
Yeah.
you all believe that we can carry forward?
You trust this eagle, well, I'm assuming implicitly.
With my life and my soul, it is one of the two spirits who guide me through my life and provide my strength and battle wisdom.
Very well. Do you guys think that we can move forward?
Yeah, that was a load off my mind.
Think we should follow forward with whatever investigation, and know that when it comes time for the dragon, as long as we have prepared adequately, hopefully we will survive.
Anybody have any ideas about items that we could bring to assist us? Obviously, there might not be much that we can get here, this city.
DM, I know you said we had stuff on the ship, but I don't know if we ever specified exactly. I know we had potions and just basic armaments, but we didn't have anything. We wouldn't have anything specific for a dragon battle, would we? We wouldn't know we were coming, but
So one of the things that you think about or whatever is the ship that you were sent with specifically is one that has been utilized before for combat with dragons. So just having that ship with you is something that is a valuable asset, right? The winching ballistas that you have on the ship have the potential to make combat with the dragon a little more or a little less difficult, right? As well as the fact that you guys have well, the ship's total crew is like 20 people, including you, so like 15 others, and then each of them have the capacity to utilize a crossbow or short bow in one form or fashion, right? And so that also is going to aid in potentially aid in the combat with the dragon or whatever. The potions that were made available, of course, remember there's only 15 potions to the 20 crew, but then of course each of you had your own potions. As far as things specific to the dragon, or in dealing with a blue dragon specifically, you guys weren't provided anything from the guild. Now, that is likely because perhaps the guild expects you to either acquire that on your own, or because they didn't have anything available at the time to provide for a blue dragon.
Okay.
We don't have anything on the dragon, on the ship specifically, but Victor, didn't you acquire a potion of lightning resistance?
Well, either myself or Poor has it. I'm not sure. I know you tried to give it to one
Two
of
of
us.
us have it.
There was more than one? I thought it was only
No, there's only one.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I have it.
Yeah, I gave it to Poor, I believe. Yeah.
So that would probably be the single most useful item I could think of, so other than an ability to fly. But when it comes to the combat, I think grounding the dragon should be our number one first goal.
How does one ground a dragon?
Well, the ballistas on the ship, I'm sure if they could get a good hit on its wing, could even one wing could possibly put him out of flying capabilities.
True, but again, this I guess out of character. From what we learned, I don't know if it was last session or the session before, the dragon is in a cave near the village, correct?
So what you understand is that the cave is further north than the village is, right?
Okay.
There is a cave or lair or something of some sort that exists. And what you feel, or one of the things that you guys have learned, is that the mine shaft that is the primary source of wealth for the city possibly has some additional tunnels dug either to the lair itself or to the village or something. There's a possibility that some of those things exist in the mine shaft.
Okay. Yes.
Is
So, go ahead.
I was gonna ask if so I guess I'm asking the king. So is there like an exit closer to the village up north on the other side of this mine shaft? Or
so the king kind of details out for you what his understanding is. He says that from what he knows, there has never been a connection made from the mine shaft to the village. His understanding also is that the villagers are not miners themselves and have never dug into the mountain. So if there's a connection between the two, and I'm talking about like a physical tunnel or something, he doesn't know of one, and that's what he expresses.
Does the city have any explosives?
They do not.
Oh, so you guys
Everything's been
just
pickaxe and mine carts.
gotcha. There aren't any guns. Are there guns in this universe? This is also out of character. It's just a curiosity.
Yeah.
So gunpowder exists.
They're like flintlock. Yeah, gunpowder exists. They're flintlocks. They're fairly rare, but it is something that can be made available given the right circumstances.
King, do you have the ability to facilitate additional potions of lightning resistance for us?
The king says to you that he himself doesn't have any. He says that he absolutely can put out an order to have them made, given that the ingredients are available.
Go
How long
quickly.
would that take?
Yes.
He says he himself is not an expert in potion making, so he doesn't know. But he says that they can request that information from the alchemist.
Okay. How long? I guess I'm asking the group. How long do you think that we should, at maximum, I guess, wait to get gather everything we need before we head to the dragon, or to at least to the village?
I think they can like do it now, and then we could just take out like the mine or check out the mine shaft.
The
mine
mine shaft.
We don't know where it goes as far as. Okay, I mean, sure.
Uh-oh. DM's computer crashed.
Oh no. Oh
Oh,
no.
that's why he's paused. Okay.
Oh man.
Makes sense.
He looks like he's
Well, this is-
very intent.
Oh, quick clarification: is
neither-
the mine shaft here in this portion of the city, or is it in the upper city?
It sounded like he was saying there was a mine shaft in the city, and then the cave was near the north of the village. And I guess there was a possibility there might have been some interconnecting there, but the king doesn't know anything about it. So it's kind of just like a toss up if there's a way between the two, but I think the villagers don't actually do any mining, correct? Is that what?
Right.
So
I mean, that if it's a large, I don't know if it's a large mine, it could be, but we'll have to ask the DM that when he comes back. If it's a the major industry of the city, then it's just like a in real world coal town. Most of the town works in the mine.
mhm.
And
I
just
guess
a
we'll
quick,
have to ask when he comes back.
yeah, and just a quick refresher. What was the thing about the mine that we had to do?
We had to do something with them. I thought we just had to establish trade or something with the guild and
That
the
we
village.
technically don't have to go with the mine shaft?
I don't know if the two things were interconnected to that degree. I'm scrolling up through
Yeah,
this.
weren't they like wealth from the mine was being funneled? Was that what it was?
It was something like that. So
So
it was
we could.
connected to the assassins, I guess.
Oh,
And I don't know
DM's back.
if we dealt with that fully, but
Hey, you're back.
Just crashed randomly.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Just all of a sudden, it was like we
You
found
can
some
answer the
errors.
que-
Restarting
you
your
can-
oh,
computer.
we already killed the dragon. So go
Yeah.
ahead and
Everybody roll the nat 20. Is over.
Man, that saves me so much exposition. So we can just skip right on to the next thing.
We were trying to figure out what was. So is there a mine in this city and then one in the upper? And what was our? We're trying to remember what our reasoning for going to what and what was going on with those.
So roll a couple of intelligence checks real quick. Make some intelligence checks. Everybody make an intelligence check.
Guidance.
So as you guys are kind of like sitting and discussing or whatever. So this is going to be
15.
information. We have a couple 15s.
I got a 5.
Kilgore's got
We're
a
allowed to
5.
roll guidance on the intelligence rolls. Then I would, of course, do the same thing.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's for ability, any ability check.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you could just touch each other if you had to.
Oh.
I just touched myself.
I'm willing, so I'm gonna touch myself and cast guidance.
Lots of guidance.
Oh,
Guidance before I go to bed every night.
I remember.
No, they say people that give themselves guidance live longer.
This is like an active recall of information.
Right. Right. Okay, so as you guys are kind of sitting discussing or whatever, so you're talking about everything that you found out so far, right? So the mind shift is the primary source of wealth. That a portion of wealth is being funneled off most likely as sacrifice to the dragon or being gifted to the dragon, right? For the potential of one of two circumstances, right? Either the people who were manipulating the king in the kingdom or in this particular city, their intent was to provide to the dragon so that that wealth might be funneled elsewhere, or that they were an employee of someone who had interest in gaining the dragon's partnership or something like that, right? You guys recall that there was mention of potential of the dragon being recruited.
Right.
So if the mineshaft is a primary source of wealth, and if a portion of wealth is being funneled off, then it is likely that, if there's a connection from the mineshaft to the village, that the wealth that's being funneled off is being done so through that avenue, right? And it is also likely that the disappearances of people or the disappearances of people in the city are being carried through the mineshaft to the village, if that's how that connection works. If the connection is directly to the dragon, then it is a possibility that anybody who's disappeared who is meant to be sacrificed to the dragon was carried to the dragon's lair via tunnels or some connection through the cave. There has been no mention of sightings of people being carried up the mountainside, right? And so it is possible that the mineshaft is the most likely way that's being done. Either it's being done through the mineshaft or it's being done at night when people aren't necessarily aware of the things going on the mountainside, right? Some general information that you guys have is that the village is active at night, and that village activity has increased significantly. I don't know if you guys recall us talking about that some, but before it was a fairly empty village, or not necessarily empty, but as far as the level of activity going on in the village was fairly low beforehand, but after the dragon showed up, activity in the village increased significantly. So that was something that you guys recall. So that's kind of the conglomeration of information that you guys have regarding that specifically. If there's another thing, if there's anything else that you guys want information on or whatever, it is possible that depending on what it is, you guys might be able to deduce that as well.
Just, I guess, how long the mine that I guess is connected to the city, if it's just one primary tunnel, does he know? Does the king or anyone know, I guess, the overall distance of that mine? Like, how far does that go?
And also, so we can answer all questions in one fell swoop. What does everybody think about? Because we don't know how many have been taken, correct? We don't
Right.
know who, when it started, when the last one was taken. What does everybody think about the king calling a meeting of the entire town to ask for names and times of when people have disappeared? That way we have some count of how many and when the last one was taken.
This circles back to what I was initially asking. How much time did you gentlemen want to not waste, but use on this portion of
Well,
our mission here? I
if
mean, if you want to spend the day doing this, I'm fine with it. Just I'm curious. Before it seemed like he wanted to go as soon as possible. I'm not sure what the rest of you are feeling.
I say we just head on and pick the dragon.
You want to just go straight to the dragon?
well, I don't want to
Of course,
pass
we would
through.
prepare.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. How long do you want it to take to prepare? Because from what it sounds like, if we talk to the villagers and we investigate the mine, and then try to go up to the village just in case the mine doesn't go directly to the village. I mean, I know to get to the village takes a couple of hours. Last time we talked about it, so I was just making sure. Are we going to use today as the day to primarily prep and then travel, or are we just going straight to one of the destinations now?
Well, I would say that, at best we take a few hours.
Okay.
But
My
not too
thoughts.
long.
Yeah, my thoughts are the only point of interest here in this town is the knowledge of what I just spoke. Who's been taken and when, and then from there, if the likelihood is that we look that the cave is connected to the upper city, to the city further up the mountain, then investigating it. Hold on, investigating it is part of moving forward to the upper city. I do not want to just run up and attack the dragon, because then we're going to have possibly an army of villagers from the city higher up behind us, and the dragon in front of us, and that is a bad tactical decision.
Okay. I wasn't trying to interrupt you, man, to interject on anything. It was just that David was typing
Oh,
very,
it was.
Oh,
and I was gonna
I'm
say
so
maybe he should
sorry.
I thought
mute
you
his.
were in character, going like
No. I was
about
trying
to.
to see if you could mute
I'm so sorry.
because I was trying to listen to what you were saying, but it was like, okay, he's ferociously typing on his keyboard, and I'm like, I don't know what's.
So out of character
Well,
voice. So just to run it. Kilgore wants to know who was taken so that he can get a count and know when the last one, first and last, were taken, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody was taken, let's say last night,
Mm-hmm.
after we already put the guys down, that would be a red flag. That
Yeah.
somebody's acting independently of the five, right?
Yeah.
And outside of that, if it was taken, yesterday before we got here or the night before we got here, then okay, we know that they were taking orders, right, from down here. That being known, and the fact of has anybody seen them taken and transported? Nobody's seen them. Then the likelihood of them maybe going through the mine is better. But either way, Kilgore would like to investigate the mine with the plan of it having maybe getting a guide from somebody in the city that knows the mine and taking a pathway up to the upper city. And then once we get there, it's as simple as signaling for the ship to come up when we're ready to engage the dragon, right? That's Kilgore's whole thought process there.
Well, I
Just
didn't know if there was
quickly spoken out.
a quick, like, not a quick, but basically, are we seemingly under the gun in terms of how fast we need to have this done, or is it something that we're taking our time and dealing with? Because if it's something that we're taking our time dealing with, I had no problem with that. I'd much rather be prepared than not prepared. But then also, is there some place that we need to go to investigate? Because it seems like the mine has come up a couple of times, and if there's like a route through there that gets us to the village in a more secret way, or if that's the way in which they're funneling people and or resources, do we need to
I
go
have a
look at that?
question.
That's the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have been in contact with the king for longer than I have. What does he
A
know
brief.
about the funneling of the gold, specifically him?
Are you
Have
asking?
we
Are you asking David? No, are you asking me? I know.
have we whoever
Oh,
that's
okay.
talked to him between the three of you?
Well, when we
Have you
first
asked
talked,
him questions about the funneling of the gold? Is he the one that admitted it to you, or is this somebody else?
that was who told us that? Was it the guard, or was it the
Other
king that
guard or
told us?
cameo.
Yeah, I think it was one of them that told us that. But I think we asked the king. We came back and talked to the king
Yeah.
before the fight, and we asked him if he knew anything about it or if he cared about it. He seemed like he didn't care, but then it seems like he was possessed or being magically manipulated in some way. So I don't know how much stock we can put into what he said then, but I mean,
Others.
Uh,
we've been asking him questions recently, and
Maybe we should give him a
Yeah.
chance to get his story straight.
Am I wrong? I thought we had a long conversation with him that was where he said that wealth was being funneled from here
You guys did.
up
You
there.
guys
He
did
just
have a
I don't think he specified the pathway at which it was funneled.
right.
Like we didn't ask the question of is it being funneled through the mine through a secret pathway? But
Right.
Does
that's
he not have any allies in
in
other
here
cities?
or the upper city or the city further up the mountain.
Does he
I
not
call it
have
the
any
same
other
upper city.
connections that would have at some point helped him, but rather didn't because of the manipulation? I'm trying to put the puzzle pieces here together. Why were these people manipulating him in the first place, if not their own selfish gain? They were from the Assassin's Guild, after all, but maybe it connects to the dragon somehow.
They were working based on what they told us. They were working for hired by a higher power.
Oh yes, but what was the ultimate goal there? What were they trying to coerce him into doing
Recruitment.
specifically? Recruitment for the Assassin's Guild.
Recruitment for the dragon.
I believe they were trying to
Oh.
recruit the dragon for their benefactor. Yes, if I remember the conversation correctly. So
Very interesting.
this is all about the dragon. It's very little. The city is just a means to an end.
So I could only assume that the king was being manipulated into sending people to the dragon to try to gain its allyship for the Assassin's Guild. Am I getting that right?
Well, for the benefactors behind who
Right.
hired, the people who hired the Assassin's Guild. I believe so. Yes.
Hmm. And I wonder, is it only because the dragon was here that they chose him, or is there a higher reason?
Is there that they chose?
That they
it-
chose
this
him
dragon?
to try to get the dragon?
Bruh, my brain hurts.
He's the king of the city. He is
But I
the most
assume,
powerful individual here. Manipulation of him, I would assume, would give any number of things. It's
I
just
just
like when
mean,
one of
why wouldn't they choose not someone else in the city, but a different city? Is it only because the dragon was here, or does he maybe have a connection somewhere that we don't know about?
the only thing they wanted in the end was the dragon's cooperation. So, King, can you answer?
So he goes on to explain with a bit of shame on his face that he is not a very big friend of the neighboring kingdoms. Most that he has as far as relationship with any kingdoms nearby is acquaintanceship at best. He says that it is likely the only aid that he would gain would be aid paid for. So if he were to request aid from a neighboring kingdom, it would either, if he were provided aid, it would either be because they have some political interest in providing aid, or they need some form of payment, whether it's a continual wealth given continually from, a regular wealth given continually from the city, or the city itself. Um, he's not been very good at diplomacy in that regard.
Hmm. Well, would there be anyone out there that you might have connections to in some way, some sort of relation to a benefactor that would have hired the Assassin's Guild? to manipulate you. I do realize their end mean was to get the dragon, yes. But somehow I sense that there might be more.
He says that he wouldn't be surprised if there was more, and with a little bit of even more growing shame, he says perhaps they recognized the weakness of this kingdom and decided to utilize that to their advantage.
Hmm. Very well. Now, what do you plan to do with the kingdom after the dragon is slain?
He says that he has already um, worked out a contract with the guild, which Imbros, Eldermore sitting nearby, kind of listening to the conversation as it goes or whatever. He kind of begins to get up from his plate, kind of step away from the table. He says, "Yes, we the guild will be dealing with this city much more." And he says, not Eldemar, but the king. The king says there's going to be a bit of back scratching that goes on, and he
Like what?
says, hopefully it'll put us in a larger, a better diplomatic situation. And he, the king looks, and Eldemar kind of looks and says, the king is allowed to disclose any of the information from the kingdom's side of the partnership that he would like to. And then Eldermar kind of says, I must be getting back to the guild. And he kind of does his salute. He moves his hand in the salute of the guild specifically, and then gives a bow and makes his way out the door. The king then divulges to you guys that there's a partnership been made with the guild, where the guild is going to be allowed to establish organization within the city, to build a guild hall in the city, and a part of the city's wealth will go to the guild hall automatically. A part of the taxes that are implemented in the city, as far as the economy is concerned, it's like an economical integration of the guild into the city, right? And one of the things that are going to be provided is a combination of protection as well as diplomacy. Some of the guild is going to use its ties or whatever. He says something to the effect of the guild is going to use some of its ties to try and bring people in.
Now, I have another question. Curiosity.
Mhm.
How did you become king?
And he says, well, of course, he was heir to the throne.
I see.
And he says, granted, he feels his father was a much stronger king than he himself. He hasn't, and he kind of looks down in shame or whatever, and he says that he hasn't done his best to fill his father's shoes. And he says, but it looks like things are on the turnaround.
So you feel as if you're lacking diplomacy, mainly.
He says, yes, in spite of his education, he's not been the best with people.
Very well. Thank you for answering the questions.
So, do we have a plan? What's our next step? Gathering
Wait.
information.
I just asked what y'all's thoughts as far as calling a quick rally of the town and asking those simple questions before we move forward. That is my suggestion.
Well, if
The
we
only
already
thing
know,
that we have to be careful about
Say
is
again.
that the only thing that we need to be careful about is that what if there are infiltrators in the crowd, more from the Assassin's Guild, who would get information from the answers that we get from our questions?
They
My
they
feelings
would already
exactly.
know all that. If they are taking the people, then they would already know how many they've taken and when the last one they took. The dragon wants us here for entertainment purposes. Remember that.
Hey,
I simply
all those.
imply
Dragon has
we
us
can
here.
let them know that we're going to the mine.
I mean, we don't have to actually be here to take the questions from what I'm hearing. It seems like we just have a list of questions generalized about did you have someone you know go missing? When did they go missing? And did you see like was the last time you where was the last place you saw them? That kind of thing, right?
I
Uh, the
think
king the king can probably have somebody write that down. People can come in when they need to write it. I don't think we actually need to be in the room for it. And then we can, if we need to go get information from other people, or if you want to go look at the mine, not saying we have to go inside or anything like that, but just examine the area. We could do that. Kill two
Well said.
birds.
Hire a herald to ask these questions of the masses. I like that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
will
okay
go.
with that.
I will go stand and ask the questions. It does not matter to me. This is a town that has been left, as far as I can tell, shaking in fear. The the guards almost pissed their pants at the even mention of the shadowy figures in the background. No, if without a show of force, I don't think many people will even come to speak. So I will go stand and I will ask the questions beside the king. And we will quickly move forward with whatever our next decision is. If we
Yes,
go
it
that
does
route.
seem as if we were to hire a herald, it would take more time.
It'd take more time.
Truth be told, you wouldn't
I
know how
believe
long
so. I
the
mean,
herald
we
would
would have to
take.
go out and hire somebody. They might take a
I mean,
while to go
with
around asking questions.
well, when we know two people who know most of the people in the village already, the boy and the guard. I mean, if one of them simply asks the questions and the king simply invites whoever wants to come to his house to then give the information, or are we trying to have a whole big show about this? I'm not sure exactly what we're trying to do here.
If well, if we had a whole big show, we may have a city north further up the mountain that is completely rallied behind the dragon. Are you the king?
We're
How
not
many
going
people
there.
are in that city normally?
It was like 23. That's what I heard the last time, I believe.
he says he says that there's about 130 people.
Okay,
130.
do
What
you
was
want
that?
to go fight 130 people and the
Who
blue dragon?
suggested? Who
Are you
suggested
talking
going
about
to
in the
either one of
village
those things?
north
The
of the
village
city or in
or
the
the
city?
The one to the north that is
He
closer to
said
the
that
dragon.
there's about the last that he knew of, there was about 20 to 30 people in
Okay,
the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I never suggested we fight anyone. I was suggesting we gather information about the mine, which I assume is still near the city. So I'm not talking about going hours away. I'm thinking, you know, as far as the mine is, seeing if there's any kind of traces of people being dragged or carried through that area or other resources. And then we come back, see what kind of information has been gathered as far as the villagers that have gone missing. If they tell us somebody has gone missing within the night, like you said, then we know again the information about whether or not someone's still working to do this or not. But I was trying to kill two birds with one stone within like the next couple of hours, as opposed to having us stay here, do this, then possibly go there and do that, and then possibly go to the village or get some other information. Does that make sense?
I
Makes perfect sense.
understand. It just seems like a lot of sneaking around that is unnecessary.
No one's sneaking around. It's just having somebody else stay here and take questions or ask questions as opposed to us doing it. They can know it's for us. I don't mind that. I'm just trying to see why we stay in this building for like a couple of more hours to talk to a bunch of villagers as opposed to going to an area that we know has been mentioned multiple times where the trafficking of people and or resources was. That might take us maybe 20 to 30 minutes just to look at the area.
It is just what I think is best. Is we're about to go where people are possibly being, as you just said, trafficked.
Mm-hmm.
But to know how many were taken and when the last one was taken is only smart to know before we go there.
Okay.
And I've already said why. So
Can we
y'all can all decide what you think is best.
I just
Because
like
there is some sort of misunderstanding here.
I look over to Eldemar. Hey, do you mind like staying a little bit and asking a few questions while we go check out the mine shaft?
Go to the mine shaft, look at the mine shaft, come back, find out people are taken. There's a route through the mine shaft, so then we go back to mine shaft and go through mine shaft. Maybe, maybe not. We won't know.
I was asking Eldemar if he wanted to stay and do the talking to the villagers.
Can't you send messages?
So he's like just about out of the door when you mention that, and he turns back and he says, no, he needs to be getting back to the guild. He doesn't have time, but he trusts in all of your capabilities. And he kind of gives another little bow and then makes his way out of the front door.
Later, dude.
King, how quickly could you call a town meeting out in the square?
He says it would probably take him an hour or two, given that he has very few guards left. He would need to have the guard captain convene the guards first, which should only take 10 to 20 minutes. But then for those guards to travel throughout the city and get everyone together for a meeting would take a couple of hours.
Now, is Vasily still in the room?
Vasily is there, yes.
I'll point at Vasily and go, he is a mildly competent fighter. You should use him as well.
And the king looks and says, yes, he will. He agrees with you, and he kind of looks Vasily over or whatever, taking note of Vasily's armor and the rapier at his side or whatever, and kind of looks at him in a proud kind of way.
So he calls the meeting. We go do our thing at the cave, at the mine entrance. Yes?
I'm down for that.
Did I not? I'm
Worst thing is we waste time because then we come back here, find the answer, go back to mine shaft. I don't feel like arguing about which is most.
I'm not arguing. I'm just point of clarification. Can you not send a message like you did earlier to a location and then get the message back, or was that crazy?
For what? I have my Raven. Yes.
Yeah. Can you not send that? Can you not send, instead of us having to come back to the mansion? Can't you just send the Raven to the mansion? They give you the message about whether or not the stuff is there, and then we just continue with our investigation or journey.
Yeah, it will still take the time, but yes, it is not instantaneous.
But it can fly. That's what.
Fly about as fast as I can run. Yes.
Hey, you can run. Yes,
of one half of another dozen of another. I can also fly that fast too, but that's not the point.
But then why have the this is my whole point. Like, you use Raven before instead of traveling somewhere. So either you use Raven to deliver messages, like I don't understand the point of the Raven, but it's fine.
Just go.
Kane, what did you say?
It's shiny. I like it. What is point of you wearing mask? I don't ask you this. Therefore, don't ask about the Raven.
To hide my identity.
He's Victor. I look at the boar and go, he's Victor.
Oh shit!
I know, right?
Dotson. We got Dotson.
I actually walk out the door.
Yeah,
I'm gonna follow behind
I'm
him.
behind.
Does the king know he knows what he needs to do?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and he's kind of taken his head over to Vasily, and Vasily's kind of stood up, and you guys know that Vasily kind of has like and some additional pep in his step, like the events that have gone on or whatever represent some significant changes that have been made in his life or whatever, and he's pretty excited about how things are going to go from this point forward, or he's excited to see, and he kind of conveys that. He conveys that through his mannerisms, his demeanor, the way that he stands up, fully energetic, upright. Um, when he bows, he only bows like a little ways down, uh, not out of like deciding not to bow fully as he had done so before, but out of his desire to like hop to the job, essentially. And he kind of gives his little bow or whatever, and then turns and very rapidly, briskly walks towards the front door, and makes his way out the front door out into the city.
As he's walking
So-
by me, Poro goes, "All right, kid, don't get killed. We gotta find out what happened to your dad. Remember?"
And he turns and he says, yes, of course.
And also, Vasily, could you point us in the direction of the mine? Since
And he
we
says,
don't know.
oh yes, he says, if you walk out of the mansion and walk to either corner of it, either to the east side or the west side, you'll see what we call the Great Recession in the mountain base. Follow the wall of the recession to its sharpest point, and there you'll find the mine entrance.
Very good.
Looks like Mark Harthen, huh?
And again, I guess Vasily, I would ask, from what you told us before, no one's actually mining it at the moment, correct?
Oh, he says, people have been constantly mining it.
Constantly mining it, okay.
Yeah,
But
he
the
says
resources
that
are getting
there are generally workers in and out of the mine 24 hours.
okay.
Okay, so is that y'all's decision to head that way?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And I'll pipe up and talk to Victor for just a moment, just to make sure we are clear. My reason for us staying there is so that we could try and rally this people in this city to assist us with the upper city and the people there if they are truly hostile. If we are not here, we may not be as successful in rallying them. Their frightened nature currently, I feel. So that was my reason for wanting to be here. When questions are asked in the of the group of all the townspeople.
Oh,
So,
I understand. I just didn't understand why that needed to be done right now. That's all
well,
I was trying to figure out.
if our investigation of the at the beginning of the mine shaft is short and quick, maybe we can be back here in time for the the town meeting.
Yeah.
As you guys are making your way out, Kane, is there any specific, or Kane or Herrick, are there any specific interactions that you guys wanted to have with the king or Vasily before leaving?
Well, just remind me real quick because I haven't been here the whole time around the king and everything. Vasily is assistant or somebody else?
Right. So Vasily is this 15-year-old boy, essentially, that works as like the
okay.
king's servant or hand person. He has like similar clothing to that of a court jester, but not quite so clowny. A little more cordial. But essentially, before, his demeanor was that of like a beaten dog, perhaps. bowing lower than the king stands tall, very, kind of like not afraid per se. He's a little more bold than, in fact, most of the city guard that you guys have encountered, but he definitely, has had some reservation previously. And so information that you have, Kane, about him specifically is that his parents urged him into servitude of the royal household because they felt that it would bring him into a place of good graces with royalty so that he could rise up in ranks or whatever and become wealthy and have a really, really good life, which so far hasn't really been the case. So that's kind of what you know about him or whatever in his circumstances.
Well, I had a question for the king.
Okay.
Now that I'm thinking about it, but I was gonna like, I don't care if like the players know about it, but I kind of wanted to ask him privately.
Sure. Okay. I mean, if you want to type it to me, you certainly can. Is it something that you
honestly,
can go over and pull him to the side to ask, or would you just ask him?
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but most likely Kane would probably just walk up to him, rather than just like open call asking these questions.
Okay. Is it something that you would try to do, like you would try to say it to him stealthily so that nobody else heard you?
No, I don't really. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, in this case, I would just walk up to him and just ask him a couple final questions. And that being, what happened to the rest of your family?
So he mentions to you that his mother left some time ago. He was fairly young when she left, and so it was just him and his dad for a long time. His mother left because there was another king that had come through town, essentially, visiting with some sort of like diplomatic, like a diplomatic mission or something of the sort. And she found that he was much taller, much more handsome, or whatever, and saw greater wealth and potential in that king, and basically just ran off.
And what was her name?
He says that her name was Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Let me see if I can find her last name.
Roosevelt.
You know what? It's really funny that you say that. Because it was Gosselin. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so his mother's name was Eleanor.
Now, how about the king's name? You can just give me the last name if you want to.
Well,
The
there's
one that
I'm still Casimir. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Final question was, who takes the throne when you die if you have no heirs?
He says that he hasn't figured that one out yet. He says
So there's
that
no
he was
plan,
hoping.
there's no heir.
Well, he says that he was hoping that somebody would come along. He figured he would probably take a wife from the city at some point.
What's your type of girl? You said that nobody had come along, so I'm curious.
He says he likes a good, strong woman, someone who stands up for herself, who isn't afraid to fight.
So would that be a halfling or perhaps a different humanoid?
He says that part doesn't matter.
Very well.
Kane polymotion to a giant ogress and tries to dominate the king.
I just wanted to assess the future hood of the kingdom. You see, I've
So
been
he
here
goes on
for
to
only a
tell
day, but
So he goes on to tell the story where he tried to push an orc over the side of a bridge and rolled a 1, and instead gently caressed the orc's back. And
So at this point, Kilgore was talking to Victor, and is it safe to say he noticed Kane just having a personal conversation with the king?
yeah, sure. Like you guys are like wrapping up and getting breakfast or whatever, and like finishing up breakfast and maybe like standing up from the table and getting ready to kind of make your way out or whatever. And Kane just walks over to the king and is having this conversation.
Well, and
And
Herrick
we
already
hear
walked
everything?
out, right?
We heard all this, everything he asked.
Yeah, I'm already halfway out
Kane,
the door.
what does this have to do with our mission at hand? We
I
need to
think he's
go.
trying to seduce the king.
it's necessary.
Oh yes, he's definitely
Okay.
trying to seduce him.
All right.
So he says that his father's name was Amtos.
Yes.
I try not to do things if they're not necessary, or if I try not to do things if they're not necessary, and in this case, it is.
So he says that his father, one of his father's favorite things to do was to wander around in the mine. Just checking on people, just looking, just kind of seeing what's going on or whatever. But eventually he basically died of lung rot.
Oh,
Hmm. I'm gonna
Well.
insight check Kane with guidance.
Yeah, I'm inside him as well.
Okay.
Ooh, 17.
Am I lying about something?
I'm just trying to
I
figure out
got the 9.
what your actual motive is behind these questions. Like he didn't know anything about the king before he walked in here, and suddenly he's asking a billion questions. And the only thing that's changed between now and yesterday that I'm aware of is that we each got a contract. So now I'm curious as to what the hell is in this contract, but I don't know. So I'm just trying to figure out is it that? Is he trying to seduce him? Is he trying to set his sister up? Does King have a sister? What's going on? I'm trying to figure it out. Does the 17 give me anything at all? An inkling of something?
There definitely seems to be an additional prod of information, though the motivation behind why that information is the attempt of information gained is elusive.
Mm-hmm. How loyal is Kane to the? I know how loyal Kane is to the guild.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Is he more loyal than Apora or less?
How loyal is Apora?
he
Apora
was raised in the guild.
raised there.
I wasn't raised in the guild, but I don't just do things for money.
You use them for sexual favors as well? What other
Not for
things
the
do you?
guild.
I don't know why that was so funny.
I guess in the time that you guys have known me, that I'm just basically about my work, and I take pride in doing a good job.
No hobbies, no side. You know,
I mean, of course,
Okay.
Kane
vice,
likes wine.
any vices that I know of? Anything addicted to potions?
Vice. He's very harsh.
Okay, harsh with who?
With just
Uh,
people that he deals with.
Just anybody, or just?
I mean, he's not harsh like altogether, just upon like every person he meets, but he can be harsh.
Okay, all
That's
right.
the
Pops his head
flaw.
in.
Once I pick up goal, I become obsessed with it to the detriment of everything else in my life.
Gotcha. And okay, last
Here
question.
we go.
And I'm asking the DM because we're moving when this is happening, but the DM, or I guess even Avery, as that conversation with the king from the start, where he was asking kind of like the questions about what do we know about him, all that stuff. Would Kane's attitude towards the king have gone like more aggressive to more softened? Could I have picked up on that, or is that just me?
It would have stayed the same.
Okay.
I was thinking before it would be more devil may care, but
Mhm.
now he has interest.
Okay.
But I mean, his attitude is the same though.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was gonna say it starts out more like Devil May Care and ends up more Devil May Cry.
I didn't see him jump in the air and fire off any pistols.
That's Dirge of Cerberus. That's a different game.
No, that is also Devil May Cry.
Like, honestly, at first, Kane did not give a rat's ass about the king or what happened to the king.
Right.
Okay. Spoilers.
And if you want to ask him
tell
more
me
about
any of this stuff, DM?
Do I know?
Did a 9 tell me any of this stuff?
In regards to like Kane? Oh.
Yes.
So basically, the thing that you take note or whatever, and you feel like it's likely related to the mission, and that's possibly what the motivation is or whatever. Just that Kane seems to be engaging the king more than he was.
Okay. That's all I needed. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Okay. Kane, anything else you wanted to ask him?
I think that
I told you his father's name, right?
So I remember you mentioned Eleanor, Casimir, and perhaps one other name.
The father is Amtos.
Amatos. Okay.
All right. Herrick, was there any other interactions you wanted to have with the king or Vasily or anybody else before leaving? Now, this would be something that would have taken place before this last conversation Kane has had.
It would be a question towards the king, and as I approach, I would bow, but as I'm exiting, really, and then it's kind of along the lines very quick. Is there any sort of intelligence group that you have within this city that you rely upon?
He says that the only intelligence that he's had was the city guard, and most of them are gone.
And then I bow and then exit.
Okay. Cool. So you guys continue on, through your various conversations or whatever, and then Kane, you have your final conversation there with the king, and you guys make preparation to head out. So when you leave, as you walk towards the reverse portion of the city, right? You find that go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
would like to if Kane's following along, I would assume.
Yes.
As we all leave.
I imagine so. Yeah, Kane, you would go with them, right? Yeah. Uh-oh.
You're muted.
Kane is muted.
Yeah, I would definitely go with him.
I would just turn back and go, I do not presume to demand to know the details of your contract, King. I would like to know if you plan or have any possibility of killing the king. Well, I don't say king. I was actually just thinking about that. Of eliminating the leadership.
Kane just stares at you, and then he says, "The king is safe, as far as I know."
Very good. I understand if you are in process of doing your duty. And I just
There is no quarrel.
All right.
That was it.
Okay. Just point of clarity, I'm gonna have my echo just out the whole time while I'm outside.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and my lantern.
Okay.
On my
Lit
hip.
your lantern and.
Yeah, and when we get to if we're going like down in the mine, I would try and acquire another some more oil from their supply.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something that you can get. So you had three casks, right, of oil, and then you used one, and then so you had 2 left, right? That was the original, and so you want to acquire more. So I'll say that you managed to acquire 2 more.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
How do I work this contraption?
Poke all the buttons.
What are you trying to do?
Remove a language tab.
Oh.
But I ended up clicking it.
Okay, so
there now.
I'm Okay.
Real quick, do you guys want I mean, I know we kind of like started super late. I don't guess you guys need a snack break or anything. I mean, it's 11:15 or well, 11:13. Do y'all want to keep going right now? Are y'all okay? And also, who needs to stop at midnight? Or does anybody need to stop at midnight? Is anybody getting up early?
Damn it,
Kane's
every
getting up
time.
early. Okay, so Kilgore and Kane have to get up early.
I can stay a little bit after midnight. I do need to take like a quick restroom break, if that's okay. Like 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah,
It
that's fine.
depends on if we get into some fight or something. I guess I can take it because that's exciting.
That was terrible.
But otherwise, I probably just need to sleep.
Quick question for Kilgore from Shadowwolf.
Oh God,
Please don't let viewers
he
think
just
that's
left.
actually his
that's
last
not his last name.
That's not his last name at all. Sorry, that was, it's his last name is Storm Herald, which is way better.
I thought it was
Okay.
So
Who even mentioned Thundervein? I guess it was me originally. I was like, Kane Thundervein. And then
We
it
were
sounds like a wrestler's name.
brainstorming last names, and then we kept thinking of that, like WCW or something. Anyways,
Shadowwolf was going to ask, did Kilgore ever take that tongue?
Don't remind him.
because he hasn't said that he had, so I'm going to say
Yeah.
no.
Where's that body at?
Oh, yeah, he did die, though. It was pretty gruesome.
They're dead.
Um,
Yeah, they're dead.
If you've seen how Electra died, that's pretty much what happened to him.
Wow. We're gonna get sued.
All the things.
I could have been talking about Carmen Electra. It's, you know,
Carmen Electra was murdered.
Copyright,
You witnessed
reserved.
okay. Also,
take
a second.
To go talk to the police.
What was that?
Matt was saying copyright reserved.
Oh,
Yeah, all
yeah.
copyrights reserved. Respect.
Yeah, we're safe now. He said it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
His second statement was, you know what they say, cast dome and fireball.
Like in the dome?
Fireball.
So Apora or Ron, whichever, tell us about your latest nerd adventure. We'll call it a nerd adventure.
A nerd venture?
Yeah. What's
Let's see.
been your latest game and or thing that you've gotten into?
A great question right now. Really, I think it's probably close to what you got into. It's probably Deep Rock Galactic. It's pretty insane. It's like, it's pretty fun too.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look up some gameplay of that.
Do I know, Kane? I'm sorry.
I said I'm gonna have to look up some gameplay.
So think about if Borderlands and Minecraft had an illegitimate love child.
Hmm.
And that's what
dwarves.
with dwarves. They're dwarves.
I'm gonna blow your mind. I've never played Borderlands. Any of them.
Neither have
No, that's just
What?
they're pretty fun.
Every time I tell you this, you're blown away.
I know. Yeah. I'll never get used to it. Kane, what about you? Since we're, since you're talking also. What about what's your latest adventure?
So the very latest, I had to go to an urgent care center. I know this is relevant, I promise.
Okay. Urgent. Let's say not your medical problem.
I met a nurse.
They were going to do a COVID test on me, and spoiler alert, I tested negative. But I had to wait in the waiting room for like 2 hours, and they told me that on the phone. So I brought my Nintendo Switch. My mom had got me a Pokemon Sword for Christmas.
Okay, cool.
And so I just popped it in and started playing and had a really good time while I was sitting there in the urgent care center in front of everybody.
Man, the Switch is the thing to bring whenever you go to, urgent care.
Perfect. I dressed so lazily. I was just sitting there with my Nintendo Switch plugged into the wall, just playing Pokemon. It's really not that bad either. I thought it was going to be bad.
No, it was fun.
Oh, Pokemon Sword?
You like it? It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I like it.
Everybody get Sword? Does everybody just get Sword? Is that what I'm hearing?
I get Sword.
That's what I so
I
happened
got
to get.
Sword for Vulpix.
I got shield.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo.
Or 9 tails. So while you stepped away, Kilgore, Shadow Wolf asked, did Kilgore ever get that tongue? Oh.
Take that as a no.
That's it, Victor. We have to go back now.
Just send the little bird to go yank it out of one of their mouths. I don't know. Like I don't know. What you gotta do it with your own hands.
Yes.
By now.
Why didn't you take it out of the one guy stabbed? Why don't you just take it out? You didn't take it out of his mouth.
No.
He wasn't using it.
I still want to go back and take all of the
You're
evil
taking
shit.
all the tongues.
No, and take them and put them on pikes around the city.
You
Or
did say you were going to, Victor Kilgore did say he was going to do that.
Yes, and I believe we did that while everybody else was doing something else. I went
to go
out
pray.
to the guard.
You might have done that.
So I did that. This
Entirely
is
possible.
canon.
Well, we walked past him.
Can we
Fine.
also say that while I was doing that, I removed the tongue?
Yeah, I can say that.
Okay.
I can say that.
Yep, he has the tongue.
So,
Looks like a tongue.
Kilgore does like some kind of Vlad the Impaler type deal
Oh, it's-
and puts
Here's a
these
tongue.
bodies on stakes and
Got a bag of holding, everyone.
stakes them down into the ground all around the, which are 5 bodies, but he stakes them around in the ground around the castle walls or whatever, and in the process of that removes the tongue of the one human. But I think that's the one you specified that you want.
Yes. Sneak.
So,
Good tongue.
Victor, Herrick, or Kilgore, did we want to talk about any more nerd ventures, or you want to jump back in the game? I mean, I'm fine with either. It doesn't matter. I just want to make sure nobody felt left out.
Game on.
Okay, cool.
I got more coffee and a short bathroom break. I'm good.
Victor, you good? You need.
I'm perfectly adequate.
Okay, cool. Wow, that's
As he's engulfed in flames behind him, it's hilarious.
almost like saying I'm amazingly mediocre.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that's really okay.
Yep.
That's Victor.
I want a T-shirt that says that, amazingly mediocre. Anyway, so yeah, you guys have made your way out of the mansion castle thing, right? The mock castle / actual mansion thing, and made your way out of the city gates, which are, or the castle gates, that is. Which you guys know that there's only one set of castle gates, right? So there's like this, 10 to 15 foot high wall that runs all the way around this mansion, right? But there's only one gate, and the only one gate that exists is at the south end of this area. Right. So you make your way out of the south gate, which, if you remember, it has the appearance of being a portcullis, but it's actually a swinging door, a very large swinging door that stretches from the ground to the top. Right. Now, the grass in this particular area is fairly plush, right? But there is dirt. There's a dirt patch where you notice that the portcullis itself has swung open and closed time and again, rubbing the grass. So the grass there is dead. It's just like a dirt patch, right? So you guys make your way out of the castle walls or whatever, and begin to make your way around towards the northern portion of the city. Now, the northern portion of the city, there's a lot less city between this mansion and the wall that recedes into the side of the mountain base. There's a lot more city that exists on the other side, on the south side of the castle walls, right? So as you guys make your way around or whatever, one of the things that you note are there are like cobblestone streets, which is like pretty high class streets, but a lot of the cobblestones are loose, as if there was nothing ever done to hold them in place. So it makes for a pretty rough walk, or a rough ride even. And some of the more fanciful streets that you guys kind of walk along lead to nowhere. There are a bunch of buildings or whatever that the streets kind of move between or whatever, but then as the buildings kind of begin to taper off, as you get closer and closer to the wall, towards the recession that is towards in the side of the wall, the concave structure that's been dug out of the side of this mountain base, right? The more the street goes nowhere. In fact, you can follow the ends of the street with your eyes to nothing. And so it's almost as if the city was built to bear the appearance of being something fanciful or masterfully crafted or something, but upon looking closely, really isn't that great.
It's a Disney World.
I just
We're
kind
gonna get sued.
I chime up, quick. Kilgore chimes up and says, "The more I walk around the city, the less I like it. Seems like everything here is just for show."
Yeah, and you guys all kind of get that feeling. There's a lot of showy here. In fact, the further back that you walk towards the wall, the more of the cobblestone roads are just loose stone, and not actually held together with anything. And so the further back that you walk, the rougher the travel becomes. Now, it doesn't take you long. It probably takes you about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to get to the large recess in the mountain base. As you do so, it does overhang quite a bit, right? So it's probably 150 foot in, which is a pretty decent amount of digging into the side of the wall, but you've definitely seen something more elaborate than this. As you kind of make your way inward, you note that the city walls on either side kind of dead end into the mountain base on either side, right? So it would be possible to scale into the city by essentially just climbing the mountainside. Where it is steep, it's not a sheer drop. So at this portion of mountain base on either side of the city, it is possible to essentially scale up and come into the city by that route. It would not be incredibly difficult to do so. As the further up the mountainside you go, the steeper it gets, and it does actually get to where it's a sheer drop, but that's more towards the top of this recess. As you're looking at the recess or whatever, there are large portions of like the combination of dry clay and stone. You guys see around the outer edge of the recess, there are some roots that are kind of growing through and poking through the bottom of the dirt into the space. As you go inward towards the terminal point in the recess, there is more stonework there. And you note that the stonework has been dug out in portions where there seem to be some sort of ore vein, creating random divots in the wall. The appearance of like cubby holes or hand holes, something that any varying in size, anywhere from the size of something you could fit a fist into, all the way to divots that you could actually climb and stand in. And so, as you kind of make your way, you do note that this recess kind of comes to a point, and in the point at the point of the recess, there is like this 5 foot wide by 20 foot high opening. And the opening you see or you note has some orangish red light flickering from inside. As you approach it, you note that there is what appears to be some old structure lied on the ground, potentially to provide some way to move resources in and out of the mine fairly easily. This specific portion itself is not built for mine carts, but it is definitely, there are sturdy wood planks supported by stone underneath that are banded together with iron bands, and the woodwork is quite worn here, creating one solid smooth surface into and out of the mine shaft. So as you guys kind of make your way into the mine, there are wall sconces every 15 feet with this flame flickering against the walls. There's a slight moisture in the air. The air becomes a little more dense. There's the smell of just kind of like a general muskiness that hangs in the air. You know, a little further ways down, there is railing for a mine cart to make its way. As you move through the 5-foot space, which you guys have to do almost in a single file line because of how tight it is at the opening, it kind of opens out and the space becomes 15 foot wide. Go ahead, Victor.
So you're saying we're entering the mine right now?
Right, if that's your intent, yes.
I was gonna get the okay from everyone else. I didn't know we were just gonna go in. So the
Well, I
area
imagine
around
that's
us.
what your intent was to do, right?
Yeah, just make sure the area around us, everything, people are entering and exiting, or is there no one in the vicinity right now?
So at the very moment, there isn't anybody coming in or out of the mine.
Are there any sounds coming from within the mine right now?
Make a perception check.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to add that I'd probably be flying.
Okay.
Probably about 15 feet up since it's 20 feet.
Okay.
3.
I'll take a look around as well.
Okay, go ahead, Apor. Roll a perception check.
Yeah.
20.
Okay.
I think seems pretty reasonable to look around before we head in.
So Apor, you note towards the left side of the recess as you're kind of flying in, there is a noticeable difference in the coloration of the dirt that formulates the base of the recess and about 10 feet up. It's almost as if the bottom 10 feet of the left portion of the recess has been sun stained, almost as if as the sun is rising, when it peaks over the horizon, it shines on this specific portion of the recess, and then it rises to a certain point where it no longer shines on the recess. And so it's almost as if that portion of recess is sun stained slightly lighter than the dirt above it. As you're looking around or whatever, you note that most of the roots seem to be, and now when I say roots, I'm talking about the roots. Roots only exist around the very edges of the recess itself. And the roots that you see are very, very sparse. And they are typical of that you would see of shrubs that grow on a mountainside. There is a significant portion of dirt, but as you look more closely, the dirt is actually bearing the appearance of stone that has been coated in dust over time, that is now caked and baked on, basically. Not necessarily baked on, but adhered to the stone's surface because of having set for so long. So, as you note, the minerals that kind of formulate this surface that you see are those of basic mountain minerals that you would note. As you kind of fly more inward, you note that there are a couple of places that appear to have some like white streaking downward, almost as if at some point during the cycle of a day or evening that there is a potential trickle that forms, a trickle of water, and when that trickle of water forms, it leaves a residue on the stone facing. It's almost as if there's a potential that somewhere nearby there's a stream that flows underneath the mountain itself, and a portion of it is trickling out of a portion of the wall of the recess, and it leaves a mineral streak down the recess wall. in very, very, very minuscule amounts. So what you see is like a residue of a very rich mineral powder, essentially. So as you guys kind of fly, or as you kind of make your way into the entrance, right? You note that the entrance has been smoothed over, as if at one point it was a jagged corner that had been dug out, right? Specifically in the 5 foot by 20 foot type dimension. The corners have been smoothed out significantly, whether that be because of people like rubbing against the corners as they move in and out with whatever payload they might be carrying, or if it was done intentionally. Which you guys do see quite a significant portion of scratches and such along the sides of the base of the 20-foot space, almost as if someone is dragging stuff out or carrying stuff out. Whatever they're carrying out is marring the walls and leaving these indentions over time. As you kind of make your way into the very entrance there, about 20 feet back is where the cart tracks start, where they begin. The cart tracks in this particular portion or this particular area are pretty well worn, though they seem to be held up pretty well. They seem to be fairly sturdy, pretty well made. And this is something that you would note, that each of you guys would note to be of Dwarven crafting specifically. Craftsmanship of this type would be from mountain dwarves. So something that would uphold to the weather that would exist inside caves at the base of a mountain, essentially. So you note that the wood is worn at the entrance, and it gives the appearance that the wood was almost as thick as railroad ties at one point as you kind of step into the entrance, but over time had been worn down, tapering to the ground. So it's almost like perfectly flush with the ground outside of the cave entrance, right? Because it's been worn so much. There are iron bands obviously holding the wood ties together that lead into the cave, and the cave floor is slightly elevated above the ground outside the cave. Again, there are wall sconces that are lit, but all of the wall sconces follow the right wall specifically. You note that there are no wall sconces on the left side of the wall, though there isn't anything that gives evidence to why that might be the case. Also, what you see is along either side of the shaft wall, you note that there are supports that have been built. There is wood paneling that runs along either side of the wall, and every 10 to 20 feet, there is a wood column. Now, as you go into the entrance, where the entrance of the cave itself is about 20 foot high, when you go in, it begins to taper and it reduces in height significantly. Though it opens out to a 15-foot width, the cave itself, reduces in height, but it also tilts. So as you make your way towards where the railing is for the mine cart, you note that the ground begins to slant downward. As you're looking at the cart system, you note that there appears to be a system of pulleys attached to this end with some sort of rope that follows along down the railing, almost as if someone has the capacity to utilize the rope to pull the cart to this opening in the shaft.
DM, how low does the ceiling get? Not low enough to where Kilgore can't walk through.
No, it gets to about 12 foot.
Okay, all right.
So it drops from a 20-foot opening to about 12 foot high. Now, as you guys kind of move along, one of the things that you note is along the walls, there is, similarly to the recess itself, dug into the walls, varying sizes of divots, which you guys can make the assumption, or safely make the assumption, that these had been ore veins at some point. And the ore veins themselves had been dug out. A couple of the ore veins that you note, or the divots in the walls, you note have been dug so deeply that a wood brace has been put in place so as to ensure the prevention of a collapse in the future. The further you go into the cave, which I imagine you guys would continue and just kind of proceed down the
Uh,
cave system.
quick question:
Uh-huh.
Do we ever find out what they actually mined in the city?
It's a great question.
I think you
So
might
the
be.
further that you go down the
But no.
you
Also,
haven't
I was gonna ask
asked.
like an Arcana check.
Go for it.
Okay,
Go
guidance.
for it.
Oh, never
Uh,
mind. 24, nat 20, I guess.
yes, absolutely. He made a nat 20, guys. First nat 20 of the day.
Woohoo.
Mega
So,
Arcana.
so you guys definitely begin to hear noises coming from within the mine somewhere. Though you're not 100% sure where, they definitely exist. You hear the various noises that would be presented by that of a mine shaft: pickaxes against walls, the sounds of squeaky wheels turning, metal grinding against metal, um, and the sounds of, pulleys being turned. Every now and then you hear a voice shout out something, um, uh, but it's very faint. Where you guys are at, it's very faint. So the steepness of the uh, kind of shaft that you guys are walking down right now almost in or declines to a 45-degree angle, so it becomes fairly difficult to traverse. Which Apora, by the way, it gets tight enough that you're no longer able to fly, or if you do fly, it would be with great difficulty. It's hard to bat your wings in this space. Um, so, Victor, as you kind of begin to search your feelings and kind of reach out with your magical essence and search for anything that might be emanating from your surroundings, you do note that there seems to be a presence, uh, kind of emanating almost as if a draft of sorts, some sort of magical draft that's kind of uh, not necessarily billowing, but gently blowing from within the mine itself. Um, an essence, a magical essence that kind of exists, a feeling that you get. And it's a neutral feeling. It's neither a negative nor a positive type feeling. Um, but it is definitely there, and it is persistent. So it's something that you, as you're reaching out and kind of feeling for magical essences as you walk, it retains its intensity. So it's very faint at first. The further that you walk, the stronger it gets. Um, Now, you guys walk for probably 50 meters. Go ahead.
Can I use divine sense?
Sure.
Just so basically, any celestial fiend
Right.
or undead within, let's say, 60 feet of us, I guess. Until let's see.
So you
Yeah,
don't actually sense anything
gotcha. Okay.
as you begin to incorporate into, you're reaching out for that magical essence to kind of feel the natural permeation of magic around you. You begin to channel that into your uh, divine basis to kind of focus on and specify that magical essence. And as you do so, you just feel an absence of any kind of fiend or undead or celestial. So as you guys are walking down this, the further that you walk, the more you note it looks like, though the changes are very, very minuscule, the boards that kind of hold the dirt at bay on either side of the walls of the shaft, um, uh, yeah, right. They're slightly, ever so slightly newer than those at the entrance, which is typical of a mine shaft, obviously. The further that you go, the louder the sounds get. And eventually, um, you guys see a very bright light. Now, when I say very bright, I'm not talking about, like sunlight type brightness. But there's a significance of red and orange flicker coming from what you guys recognize as a large opening, where the shaft that you're traveling down about 50 meters in opens out into a cavern.
DM, as we've been traveling, are there people
Sure.
working in the shaft, or is it empty?
So far, it's been empty, but
Okay.
you definitely begin to hear the sounds of people working. Okay, so let me see. You guys are still on this page. I'm going to wipe this page real quick. I'm going to move your character tokens over, but I'm not going to delete them because I want you to retain control of them. But I believe we're going to have new character tokens. I've got new ones for Appor and Victor. Oh, I've already put them down, haven't I? For Appor, I did. I haven't for Victor. No, I did for Victor. Yeah. And that's supposed to be your shadow. So I'm just going to kind of move them over so I don't lose control. Or you guys don't lose control. Was this also a... Okay. Okay, I don't know where yours went.
I guess as we get closer to the sounds, Poro would probably... Hey, Kilgore. You got that lantern ready?
It's been lit the whole time.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in the midst of your travel, you've noted that nothing has just randomly appeared. Oh, well, that was dumb.
Random.
It randomly appeared.
Okay, so I'm going to move you guys down to the south portion of the map here and kind of begin to draw what you guys see as you're walking in. Did I do a thing? I thought I just moved your tokens over, but for some reason I can no longer grab them.
I got no
Battle cry
control of
or
mine.
die. Coming at you live.
You got a what? What happened, Victor?
I'll say I can't control mine.
Oh,
Nor can I.
bummer.
I can. I'm good.
I can't touch mine. I haven't tried yet. Yay! I can.
So you guys should be good now.
Okay.
Okay, so as you guys make your way out into this opening, this opening isn't really much deeper than the shaft that you are walking in, though there is an incline that cuts over to the right and kind of corkscrews downwards. So in a counterclockwise, there's a decline in a counterclockwise direction that cuts to the right and goes downwards into this opening. In this opening, it is primarily dirt floor. The cavern itself is fairly large. I wish there was a way that I could draw a circle instead of a square.
I think you can.
Hold
Yeah, you
shift.
hold Alt.
Hey, there you go. Look at that. Doing things and stuff. All right, let me see here.
Belay that. I'm trying to put it away, and I don't know how to put it away.
You can't. It's already out there.
Duh.
Oh, you done it now, bro.
Damage is done. It's like the internet.
Evan.
It's
You
already
know,
out there.
those photos got deleted. They told me. They told me no one to see those photos.
They lie.
Well, I guess I'm going to jail then. I don't understand.
Well, it was nice knowing you, man.
Oh,
We need
no.
another rogue.
I'm right here. Hi.
The nicest rogue ever.
Yeah, hello. It's nice to meet you. Stab him in the back.
You might lose your money. Hold on, let me get that for you.
Yeah. Hey, look up there. Look how beautiful that rainbow is. And then take his purse.
Will you be my neighbor?
Arrow flies.
Yeah, we'll say as
okay.
soon as it opens up, a boar is probably taking flight again.
Okay. Sure. So it's about as big around as you guys know, but it's about 50 foot high. The floor itself drops. So let me show you. Let's see. I'm gonna draw some lines here. So this here, from this ledge where the cart cuts off to the ground. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
That is about 25.
Yep.
So that's about 25 foot down. And so it goes 25 foot up to the ceiling from that also. So let me see. I'm going to draw some, see if I can draw some. You guys get the picture. Anyways, so it's about a 25 foot drop that is inclined from that point down to the right. There are 3 mine carts that sit at the base. The mine carts that sit at the base of this little incline appear to have varying resources in them. One of the primary sources that you see, or resources that you see, appears to be precious metals, right? There is one large rock in the middle that is being dug. Well, I should say towards the middle. It's not exactly in the middle exactly. So it's like here. And it is at least eye level with you guys, which means that it's probably about 30 to 35 foot up from its base.
Can we tell what it's made of?
It's hard to tell. Most of it is just basic mineral.
Okay.
But you're welcome to make a check for that, should you so desire to.
First and foremost, did I sense
nature?
any magic from it? I'll just do an Arcana check again.
Okay, yeah, do another Arcana check.
Guidance. Oh, I need it.
So there is also
13.
a second incline. Again, moving in a counterclockwise direction, but this time, instead of declining into the floor, actually inclines up the other side of the wall and around, and it cuts back into another opening that you guys see here. I wish I had an eraser. That's what I'd like to do. But I don't have an eraser. So this will have to do. It only rhymed because it was the same word twice.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody else can make a perception check. Everybody can make a perception check as well.
19.
So as you're kind of reaching out again, Victor, you find it a little more
16.
difficult this time to feel the magical essence, but it is there is a generalization of magic in the cave itself, but the largest point of origin of magic flowing in the cave is from this stone specifically, this rock in the middle. Okay. So there are 17 people that are working in this portion of the cave specifically. Most of them are working along the outer walls of the cave. You guys see them digging into various ore veins there are little piles of rock in the areas that they're digging. So there's like a little pile here. There's like a little pile here. And a little pile like right here. There's a little pile like right here, which the minecart rails kind of travel along this direction, right? And so they turn into here and kind of go like that. I'm not an artist by any means, as you can tell, especially with the mouse. So they kind of turn to we'll call, if we're talking cardinal directions, right? The northernmost wall of the cavern has the incline coming up at the same angle as the decline that's in front of you guys. The mine cart that is traveling northward into this room takes an eastward turn and travels in a counterclockwise direction around to the outside of the wall. At the easternmost point of this, we'll call it rotunda or cavern, there sit at least 3 mine carts that are filled with mineral, and the various piles of stone, as well as a couple of piles of stone that exist at the base of the incline that the minecart is going down into the lowest point in this mine shaft.
I kind of does. Do all of us kind of see the magic ore? Like, there's nobody that was excluded from that.
Well, I would have pointed it out.
So yeah, Victor would have pointed out that it's magical. Now, what you guys note is that this particular rock in the middle of the room, or towards the center of the room, right? It's more towards the northwestern quadrant of the room per se, but or so to speak. But what you note is that it's primarily just mineral stone, regular mineral stone. And there are a couple of veins of quartz that kind of move in and out of this stone. But there is another ore vein that you guys see that very sparsely happens. Now, Kilgore and Victor, you guys perceive this specifically. Apora, you perceive this specifically. Kane and Herrick, it's not something that you guys pick up on, but there is a vein that is very sparsely spotted across the surface of this stone in a couple of locations, and it has a coloration that flickers differently in the light reflected off of it that's being given off from the various lanterns and sconces in the room.
That's on the main mineral there in the middle.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I
Uh,
kind of look around at the other party magic users in the party here and go, what? I assume this is magical, as you said, Victor, but and that is very valuable. What would it be used for?
I don't know, but I'm curious as to why no one that we've talked to at this point has mentioned what they mine here, or specifically that there's something like this here at all. Like the assassins didn't, or the assassin we talked to didn't even mention it. He seemed to only be concerned with the dragon. So now I'm wondering if the dragon wants this, or did
What
they
would
want
he
this?
do with something like this? Is it? I thought dragons like the gold and jewels and
I
Can I
have
make
no
a
idea.
check to find out
magic
what it is?
items. And
Is it like nature, history?
So you can make a history check if you want, but you can also make, which I feel like I might be thinking of 3.5. Dang it. You can do a nature check.
Okay.
I'd allow a nature check for this. A history check would be fine for this as well.
Okay. Oh, look at here. Okay.
Ultimate nature.
For everybody, or just? I mean,
Yeah, anybody that wants to.
guidance
Anybody
is
that wants to
always-
check it out. As you guys enter the space,
Ooh,
Man, look at the nature checks on the.
I rolled 18 history. Thank you.
We wasted our high rolls on history checks and nature.
Stupid.
21 blackjack.
Right.
So as you guys walk in, a lot of the miners, which they're all utilizing pickaxes at this point. A lot of them kind of pause for a second to see who's entering the mine, but most of them just go back to what they're doing. This kind of frumpy man, this kind of like heavy-set fellow, who is holding an abacus. Standing over by the carts themselves, he's got this short, like very like curved downward pipe in his mouth. He's puffing it lightly, and seems to be well involved in taking count or note of the resources they've collected so far. Sees you guys also.
I'm just gonna holler out, "Hey, foreman!"
Okay.
Mine form, implying that somebody is a mine foreman down here, of course.
Sure.
Just like with any job site.
All right.
And see who responds.
Yeah, he looks up and looks over to you guys and begins to make his way over. As he's making his way over, it does take him a little bit, and by the time he reaches the top of the incline, he's winded. Now, just in describing the cave a little more, some of the things that you guys see on the eastern portion of the cave wall, there's a 30-degree incline that goes up to in a counterclockwise, or following the cavern wall in a counterclockwise direction. There is leading to another opening in the northwest portion of the cavern. The second incline, is leading to another opening in the northwest portion of the cavern. So this guy kind of makes his way up to where you guys are standing at the top of this shaft.
Once you said once he gets there, he's winded.
Yes, by the time he reaches the top of the incline, which is only, again, it's only like 30 degrees, at this portion, he gets up and he has to stop for a minute, and he kind of like takes the pipe out of his mouth, and he kind of like does the whole thing where he's like leaning down over his knees and he's taking some deep breaths or whatever, and then he stands back up and straightens his shirt and puts his pipe back in his mouth and takes another puff, and he says, what can I do for you fellas?
As soon as he starts the conversation, I'm gonna cast Detect Thoughts.
And I'm gonna say, as soon as he says finishes his statement, as a foreman, does not look like you could even swing a pickaxe with any effectiveness yourself. How can you expect your men to follow such a poor example?
And he says, I'm just here for pointing fingers and counting goods. Okay. Apora, I'm gonna send you some information.
It is a spell save. It's a 13.
Well, I was gonna say that he was gonna fail, but because I generally roll that way.
No,
but he seems to be
just
well
being
guarded.
honest. Yeah.
His mind seems to be very well guarded. I rolled a nat 20 for those of you watching. So
These
the
are
DM's first
your-
roll of the night. I'm gonna do my happy dance.
Let's say, you should still maintain some level of physical fitness. You are not sitting at a cushy desk.
He says, no, but I could buy one with the finances I get from this job.
What are you mining here exactly?
And he's like, oh, we got all sorts of things. Are you looking to buy or are you here for work?
I'm just curious as to what you're mining here. Exactly what I asked you.
Oh, well, let's see. Well, we've come across a couple gold veins where most of the city's gold is produced. We don't get a lot of gold from the outside world, so
yeah.
But traders come in. We're pretty wealthy in that regard. We've got a couple of silver veins here and there, but
do you know who we are and what we're here for?
Before you answer that, have you found anything interesting, magical or ancient, any artifacts, anything like that?
He's like, I was heading the expedition on that one myself, and he pulls from his vest pocket, which he's wearing this little vest or whatever. He pulls from his vest pocket this smoothly worn, almost opal type looking stone. It's quite shiny as the light flickers off of it. It almost appears to have some sort of gloss finish, as if it's been polished of sorts.
Can I arcana check this without him noticing? Okay.
Make a stealth check.
Jesus.
And then make your arcana check.
Okay, so guidance. Never mind. I don't need it on that one. And I'll do the arcana check and use it on. Never mind. Just never mind.
Not the best rolls, man.
I don't even need it. Jeez, 19 and 20 for the audience.
Yeah, so there's definitely magical energy coming from the stone that he's holding.
Okay.
And it almost has this multicolored type, almost like looking at the stone from different perspectives reveals or reflects a different color of the visible spectrum.
Can I hold that just temporarily? Just to examine it.
Like,
I won't go anywhere. I'm just standing right here.
Like, well, this one's fine, and he sticks it back down in his vest pocket.
I'll pay you to examine it.
He says,
I was 30 golds out just to examine it.
He says, well, now you're speaking my language.
Okay.
Kilgore, what was it you had asked?
If he knows who we are and why we're here.
So he looks over and he says, getting to your question, big fellow, says, Well, I've been told that someone was likely to come. Imagine you're here to take care of the dragon problem.
Correct. I don't suppose you have seen anything unusual down here.
And he's like, "Oh no, and I'm pretty attentive too. I'd catch it if something was going on."
I'm gonna inside check that.
Okay.
That's all 6.
He believes what he's saying 100%.
DM, does he actually hand that to me, or are we making that exchange?
Yes, he
Okay.
does.
All right.
How often are you down here in the mines?
And he says, "Oh, I like to spend most of my time down here. Just gotta check on my crew, especially with our special find." He
Does
said,
this cave goes all the way over to the city further up the mountain?
he says, "Oh no, we don't deal with the likes of them."
And why is that?
He says, "Well, if I had to guess, I'd say that those people are probably in league with the dragon. Otherwise, they'd have been eaten by now."
So, has anything strange, like, happened in here? Like some strange noises or anything to that such?
Well, I've not heard anything myself, but I have heard of some loose fingers losing some money. Not something that I find is pleasurable, but if I found those people myself, I'd take care of it.
And what do you know about gold being funneled up to the dragon above
And
from this mine?
he says that's ridiculous.
Insight.
Can I? Does that warrant a second insight check,
Sure,
DM?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
4.
Oh, 20.
So the sense that you get is he is making these claims, but he's unsure if these claims are true or false.
Seems to me like you don't know quite what goes on in your own mind here.
And he's like, "Now, wait a minute. There's no reason to throw insults down here, big guy."
Look, I call it how I see. I see a man who is fat with his coin, who would not lift a pick to aid his men below, even if money motivated, because he can't physically do it, and who is apparently slacking at his job.
He kind of looks you up and down, and he's like, he says to you, um, "And you yourself seem to be pretty capable looking fella." He says, "If you're so worried about them being helped out, why don't you come in here and grab a pickaxe yourself?" He said, "I could make it worth your while."
Oh no. Apores is saying to himself, "Oh, here we go."
I would not want to put all of your men out of work. And I make far more money by making sure I'm able to do my job.
And he says, "Well, just let me know if you ever change your mind." And he puffs his pipe a couple times.
There
Do
you
you
go.
mind if we ask your men some questions?
He's like, "Yeah, I don't mind." He says, "They've been working pretty hard today." He says, "As long as you don't keep them too long, we should be able to stay up to quota." And he says, you buddy, you done examining my little rock there?"
DM, do I know what this is with the 20?
So as you're looking at it, one of the things that you note is that the properties of this are something that you've heard of before.
Mhm.
And the magical essence of it is something that essentially can be molded. Um, so, what this stone is used for is enhancing enchantment. Um, if someone were to use this particular mineral or stone to create an enchanted amulet of sorts, it would yield additional beneficial effects or negative effects depending on the enchantment applied to it. So essentially, it acts as a magical catalyst. Now, that's what you know about it from a standpoint of the magical nature of this stone or this type of stone. Um, Historically speaking, um, there are stories that you recall about portions of the weave that uh, somehow, when the sundering happened, that portions of the weave got caught in and were stuck in some of the physical realm as the sundering happened, right? As the split happened. So, uh, as the beer to real split, right? Some of the magical essence of the weave was caught into stone. Now, uh, whether or not that's factual is very up in the air. There's been absolutely no evidence to prove, or no way to prove that that was an actual, like, factual thing. But there have been a couple of stories circulated in mythology that suggests that was an occurrence.
Mhm.
When mineral such as this appears, that is typically what people chalk it up to.
Okay. Does I guess the look of this resemble the look of the shimmering parts of the primary stone in the middle?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, it bears very close semblance to.
I'll ask the guy,
Uh-huh.
how much more of this does he actually have?
He's
Like, how
like, well, I've got a few guys digging on it right now. He says, I'll have some more. Uh, Now, obviously, it's not refined. We'll have to take it back up to the surface and
hmm
chisel some of the useless mineral off of it and cut and polish it,
how much does
make
that
it look
cost?
all pretty like. And he says, well, what's it worth to you?
How much does it cost? And I do an intimidation check
Okay. Sure.
with,
I'm gonna aid him in that.
Okay.
and I'm guiding myself, of course.
Now, Kane, Herrick, and Apora, how are you guys reacting to this
25,
situation?
Probably just what?
29. just for shits and
He's not
giggles.
too worried about it. He's just like ready to leave.
I actually start stepping towards. Actually, I'm looking around, trying to see if there's any additional guards or any uh, landmarks, and things that maybe more passageways.
Okay.
Apora's probably just focused in on the conversation.
Okay. So, Herrick, you definitely notice there's a passageway at the northwest portion of the cavern. Um,
Okay.
it's an opening in the wall, and you see as the light kind of flickers, it creates shadow that bend around the corner and disappear out of sight. Um,
Noticing that, I actually probably would step to the side, if not just literally walk away
okay.
and towards that spot or towards that side.
Okay. Sure. Oh, so you guys see Herrick begin to make his way down the decline. around the wall. So there's a gentleman standing in front of you. He takes his pipe out of his mouth and he puts his two fingers in his mouth and he whistles. And when he whistles, it like echoes off the cavern walls, and it's very, very loud. Everybody stops. You hear all the tinking and the clicking and everything of pickaxe against stone or whatever other surface, and everybody kind of begins to make their way over to the mine carts over on the eastern side of the cavern. Now, as they make their way over there, you guys know also that there are a couple of tables that are over in that area. Tables that it kind of set up, like they kind of have the appearance of like picnic tables. They're kind of roughly made, not exactly the most, they're not high quality tables. Obviously, that's something that was just thrown together out of some scrap wood that they had to make a place that they could eat without getting dust all in their food, right? So those tables are over to the side there. Obviously, the tables in their entirety are not exactly 5 foot by 5 foot, but you get the idea. A couple tables there. So all of the guys working, the other 16 people in the cabin stop what they're doing and all make their way over to where the tables are and kind of sit down and begin to relax. Some of them, pull out mugs and pull out water skins or wine skins that they begin to fill their mugs with. And a couple of them take out some hocks of dried meat that they then begin to slice off of and kind of pass around. So the gentleman standing there, he kind of looks and he says, well, they're yours to talk to. He says, if you need me to preface anything, I can do so, but I think you guys look like a capable bunch. I imagine you can handle it.
You didn't answer my question at all.
He says, oh, right. He says, yeah, you want to know how much it's going to cost. Well, I guess it depends on what you want it made into and who you go to. He says, we can get it done fast, but it's going to be a little more expensive unless you don't mind low quality, and then it'll be cheap. He said, but if you want something higher quality, it's either
Still not
going to
hearing a
take
number.
longer.
Still not hearing a number.
He says, well, how much of it you want?
How much do you have in total mind right now?
He's like, well, I'm not sure about that. He says, well, once we get the mineral taken off of it, we'll be able to tell you have a better idea.
Do you have like 5 pounds of it?
He said, well, I imagine so.
Okay, I'll take 5 pounds.
He's like, well, you want it cleaned up and everything, or
No, don't worry about that.
You're just going to take the chunk?
I'll take the one you just gave me, and I'll take the 5 pounds.
No, wait a minute. The one I just handed you to inspect is not for sale. That's my personal.
Okay, how much is that one going to cost me?
100 gold.
How much is the 5 pounds going to cost?
Let's see.
Some of us have places to be.
The weight of the little one, and he takes out. He's like holds this abacus up and he starts moving like the little pieces around on it or whatever. And he said, for 5 pounds, it's a 750 gold.
Okay. I'm gonna look at the one I have in my hand. So 100 gold. And I flick him 100 gold and stuck it in the bag of holding.
So
and I'll figure out how to do this. Now go ahead.
Okay.
So I kind of grin at the foreman. I go, so The big stone down there. That's the one that has the ore that's so valuable that Victor just bought from you, yes?
He says, yeah, that's where we've been finding it so
Was-
far. It took us a while to get there, but now that we're digging on it, it's yielding some results.
How quickly?
He says, well, it depends on right now. I've only got 2 assigned to dig on it. He says that generally takes about a day to get 15 pounds worth. He says, now that's 15 pounds of total cleaned material. Taking the chunks of rock off is easy. Getting it up and cleaning it off, that's the hard part. He says that generally takes quite a bit more. He said, in total, to have 5 pounds of clean, finished product could take 2 to 3 weeks. He says, so if you don't mind, we handle it very delicately once we get it to the surface, obviously. He says, don't want to chip anything, don't know what kind of reaction it could cause, so very meticulous process.
Of removing it from the rock or the act of cleaning it?
Cleaning and polishing, cutting, any of that sort.
So how much raw material your men pull off in a day? Half
He
a day.
says, with 2 people, I could pull 6 to 7 pounds off in half a day.
DM, does anybody here look anywhere near as strong as I do?
No,
Okay.
not at all. You
Come.
imagine that it would take 2 to 2.5 people to match the level of output that you could do.
I ask him, do you have a pickaxe big enough for me to wield?
He says, well, unfortunately, I don't, but I could send up for the surface to have one made for you. Probably take a day or 2.
No.
Don't have time for that. Kane's getting restless.
Yep. So I'm tell him I will go down. I will remove half a day. Plus maybe some more. I need one man to point out where to strike.
And he says, all right.
And I will do it faster than you can imagine.
He says, now this I gotta see.
In
And
repayment before we leave the town, you give me what you just sold to Victor.
he says,
Agreed?
I think I can handle that. Sounds like a pretty good trade-off.
And I start walking past him. I say, tell your man to point it out to me and hand me a pickaxe. And I just go.
Are you mining just anything they have? Like,
Wherever he tells me to hit, that's what I'm going to hit. And I'm going to use basically what I'm trying to do, DM, is I'm going to use my background as a gladiator to use performance to try and
Okay.
gain favor with all the workers down here.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
To impress them with the work I'm going to do, and just help us with our, any questions that the group wants to ask of them.
Sure.
Is kind of my background goal here, just so you know where I'm headed with it.
Yeah, sure.
On top of, hey, if I get something out of it, that makes the work worthwhile.
So he calls out for a man named Dagfin. And he says, Dagfin, you have the best eyes. Go show this fine fellow where to hit. And this kind of lanky looking dude, but he seems a little bit older. He's well weathered. He has very, he's a very calloused kind of person who, now when I say that, I don't mean in personality. Like he's been down in the mine for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He stands up or whatever, and he kind of looks at you and emotions and says, come with me right this way, whatever. And he walks you over to the big stone in the middle. Now, as you're walking by or whatever, everybody begins to like slow on their eating and drinking, and they're now watching intently to see how this is going to go. And so he walks you over to the northeast portion of this giant stone in the middle, and he kind of traces a finger across for a little bit, almost as if he's feeling the side of the stone. And he's looking very closely. So he leans over so that his face is the end of his nose is only an inch from the stone. And he feels and he looks and he leans back and he says, "Yeah, right here should be a good spot." And he steps back and he points to the location that he just said. Now, Herrick, at this
Yes.
point, you've made your way around to where the opening is, which you had a couple of glances from some of the people sitting, but they seem more intent on, as you're making your way around, they seem more intent on the combination of the exchange between this foreman and this gentleman now that he has called over, Dagvin. As well as Kilgore beginning to make his way through. So you get a couple of glances here and there, but for the most part, people kind of don't really pay much attention to you as you're moving by. So you make your way over to the opening on the opposite side of the cavern from where you guys came in. As you peer around the opening there, make a perception roll for me.
Okay. To give you an idea how I look as well, it's like a gray, greenish like cloak. So I'm not exactly wearing black or anything like that. I'm just kind of like, hey, you do see me. I am wearing gray,
Okay.
green. I'm not like a hidden type of deal. And that was a perception roll, you said?
Yes.
Oh, I got a 5.
Okay.
Nah.
So, as you're standing there or whatever, it with some of the noise that's going on in the cavern behind you and the echoes kind of bouncing around the walls or whatever in the conversation, it's kind of hard to tell what all else is going on. But inside this opening, there is a sharp right curve around the wall, leaving about a 3 or 4 foot thick separation in the cavern itself, and another shaft that then turns and goes down around the outside of the shaft, or down around the outside of the cavern that you guys came in. So it would move from here and go this direction, and it's quite a bit steep, like another 45-degree angle type steep. There are no mine carts on this portion of shaft. The other thing that you note is, though it's a little hard for you to hear, there is running water somewhere beyond this point.
Okay. What I would like to do after that is head towards Kane and relay this same information that I just had, the details.
Okay.
Well, what do you suppose we do about this?
I'm about to go scout it out myself, actually. But at this time, I'll be back with more details.
Are you
Please
talking to
do.
Kane or talking to me?
Just a Kane.
Okay.
Yeah. I stand next to you, and then
So yeah, you're standing next to Victor right now. That's why
Yeah,
you're
pretty
asking.
sure. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't understand whether or not Kane might be down
DM,
there with everyone else.
Uh-huh.
quick thing. I can see all the guys' faces at the table, right?
Yes.
I can see the foreman.
Yes.
Okay. Are all of them looking at Kilgore right now?
Yes. So as Kilgore and the foreman kind of make their way down to the stone, the the foreman actually kind of breaks off and finds himself a seat. Now, what you note, so Victor, as you're kind of standing over off, against the wall, kind of like off away from everyone else, what you notice is the foreman makes his way over to this chair, and this one particular chair is a fairly fancy chair. It's not your basic wood. It looks quite dusty. It looks very dirty. It looks a bit beat up. It is cushioned. It is a cushioned chair, and he sits down on it and relights his pipe. He takes a couple of puffs on his pipe, and then slumps into this deep slumber, his pipe falling out onto his stomach, overturning, and some of the tobacco spilling out onto his shirt.
Mhm.
And so he's like, within just a couple of minutes of sitting down, he's like out.
Okay. Well, I was gonna just disguise self to like a worker,
Okay.
and then I was gonna go over to where the you know resources were. Uh,
Okay.
look and see if I see any more of the stone that he gave me, like maybe in raw form or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm gonna roll a stealth check
Sure.
with guidance,
Um,
if that's okay.
make an investigation check
Oh
also.
God.
Now, Pora, you're flying.
Right.
13.
Pora, you can make a perception check.
11.
13 for both
Okay.
of those.
Kilgore, if you want to make your performance roll.
Okay. We'll do I guess it'll be a performance roll and then the strike to hit each time, or how did you want to do this, DM?
Yeah.
And would I gain with him pointing out where I needed to hit? Would I gain advantage, or is it just going to be a straight dice roll?
We'll just do a straight dice roll, but you can add your strength modifier.
Okay. That's a 17 performance.
Okay.
And you said it would be a straight dice roll. Can I?
With your strength modifier added.
Okay. Would I be proficient with a pickaxe? Can I look that up as just a straight weapon?
Yeah, if you want.
That way
yeah.
I can add. Okay. If it's okay, I'll look that up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind a bit. Okay, so Apora, you fly the 25 feet up from the opening to the cavern top. It forms a very ragged and rough dome, almost, that kind of sits over the entirety of the cavern. Right. There are a couple of stalactites hanging from the ceiling. And with a couple of those stalactites, you note that there is a very, very slight drip of water. As you're looking along the surface of what is formed the ceiling of this cavern, right? You don't see anything particularly unusual, though you do manage to spot another gold vein. So it's towards like the northwestern quadrant of the cavern, and it's a decent size, but it is now far, far off the ground. Right, it's 50 feet off the ground essentially.
Okay. I'll fly back down towards one of the workers.
Okay. So Kilgore, you can go ahead and make your first swing. And I imagine you're like over there like, now gents, watch how that's done or something like that.
Yeah, so I go in the whole gladiator mode and I kind of hold the pick out. So I found a pickaxe that actually has damage listed on the D20 SRD, and it's just a medium-sized one would be 1.8, and it's two-handed. Does that sound about right? proficiency is martial, so I should be proficient in it.
That's fine with me. So you can add your
Okay.
proficiency bonus with it.
Cool. And I don't think I don't suffer exhaustion after I rage, do I? I'm trying to remember if I do or not.
I think it's a point of exhaustion.
Well, we long rested, man.
I think that's
Okay, cool.
Apura, you were about to say you think that's
I think
only
it's a
if he-
specific subclass.
Well, it could very well be, yeah.
Are you about to rage?
I think it's the berserker, right?
Is it berserker that prevents you from?
The frenzy rage. Yeah, when you that's berserker.
Okay.
You should be good.
All right. Oh, so I won't suffer exhaustion?
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to enter rage,
Mhm.
bonus action, so that gives me advantage on the strike. Is it? Let's see. I don't have a 1/8 weapon, but can I just roll with one of my other ones? Because they
Well,
have all my bonuses attached to them.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So I'll just roll for my halberd, and then I'll just roll a die 10. If I, hit, which I imagine I'll hit something,
Right.
a die 8 plus my strength modifier for plus the additional 2 for raging.
Sure.
So in a rage, and I'll swing with advantage because I'm going to reckless strike.
Okay.
So that's 21. Oh no, 28 was the highest.
28. Yep. Okay.
All right, and then
Yeah.
it'll
So
be
you
one
catch it.
die. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so you catch it right on the mark, right on the spot he said.
And it'll be 1 die 8 plus 7. So that's 14 damage.
Okay.
To the point he pointed out.
Okay. Yeah. So you're like, doing all of your gladiatorial, this rock is mine or something,
Yeah.
and you just slam it down or whatever other lines that Russell Crowe has in the film, and you slam your. That was Russell Crowe, right? Slam your pickaxe down, and a decent chunk actually comes off of the stone, like right off of the bat, and you leave probably like a softball sized divot in the side of the rock. And at this point now, everybody that's sitting down, they hear the clang of the pickaxe, and they all kind of stop and look over, and they're like, "Hey," and then one of the guys is like, "Oh, this guy's going to prove to be advantageous here." So I think it is 12:40 now. I know,
Yeah.
Avery, you've got to be up in like 4 hours, right, or 5 hours?
No, I'm just sick and need to sleep.
Oh no, he's sick.
Believe it or not, I'm actually off tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Gotcha. Okay.
Ben, are you off or?
Who was it? What?
Ben?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Ben.
were you having to get up early in the morning? Or?
I have to get up a little bit. Not crazy early. It's girlfriend's kid's birthday party. So
Happy birthday!
no, thank you. I already gave him his present to him.
Would you guys like to pause here?
Yeah. I'm getting kind
Sure.
of tired.
Real quick though, before we go, because I'm going to forget. So Victor, as you're digging through the various assortment of resources that are available, you find there are a couple of clumps, decent sized clumps of what appear to be some sort of like coal, some sort of burnable mineral. One of the carts is strictly chunks that are intermingled of regular mineral and gold vein. in that cart, you find a chunk of gold that has very little other mineral on it
Mm-hmm.
that is probably worth 50 to 100 gold pieces.
Okay.
As you're looking through, you don't see any of the special mineral that you're searching through for. When you look over to the rock, you notice that there is a pile. The pile over next to the rock is just that mineral.
Oh, near where Kilgore is right now.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. I know we're
So
trying
this
to
pile here.
that power. Oh, right where everyone's looking.
Yes.
Of course, fantastic. Couldn't have been easy. Great. Let's see.
Kane, would you have made your way down into the cavern also? Or
Yeah.
I know Herrick. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know that Herrick had some information he wanted to give me, but I was probably just going to go down to the cavern.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'm going to put you down there.
Okay.
So go ahead, Victor.
Screw it, I'm going to turn to the king.
The king's not with you.
Yeah, I'm turning into the king.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to make yourself the king.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
The fact that he's writing this down is not good. He's like, this guy's gonna fuck this up next week.
I mean,
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. We'll stop there. We'll stop right there. That's good. That's a good cutting point. I like it. Victor turns into the king.
Did the foreman give us his name? I don't think he did he?
Nope.
Didn't ask him.
Nobody asked you. All right. Cool. That was fun. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have any battle or anything, but there's some role play there.
Oh yeah.
And some fun stuff. Cool. Well, anybody? Yeah. Anybody watching or having joined us? We certainly appreciate it.
We still got Shadow Wolf watching.
Yeah. Yeah. We certainly appreciate it. Yeah. For hosting. That's a big deal. Points for you. You get 1,000 points. I don't know what they're for, but you get 1,000 of them. So congratulations on your point awarding. So we certainly hope that you guys had a good time joining us this evening. Sorry if I seemed like I was tired. I've been working a lot and driving a lot because the job site's been an hour and a half away. This is super fun. So hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and join us again next Friday. We'll be playing again 9 p.m. and during the week as we do some Phasmophobia or Deep Rock Galactic and all of the various other things that we've been streaming. Super fun.
For sure. And we might have more artwork done by the next week.
Yes, very excited.
Oh yeah.
Excited.
Hope to see you. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
These guys.
Good night.
later.